Welcome in here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Carlene Bragg is here in studio. All right, so we want to get to a bit of breaking news that we are following right now, keeping our eye on right now. This is a look at St. Paul, Minnesota, where we are getting word and we're getting reports that there is federal agent activity in St. Paul. So we are still working to sort out some of the details of what's actually happening there on the ground. We'll actually go to our content partner there in Minneapolis, Minnesota, with more on this. So again, federal agent activity there in St. Paul. So we'll get back to that in just a moment. Just want to bring that up as a bit of breaking news. Let's switch gears. We are a couple of days away from Thanksgiving. A lot of folks hitting the road. A lot of folks are hitting the road, and it's going to be a tricky situation because it's going to be raining, Brittany. It's going to be raining.
It's already raining, Nick.
Is it already raining? I haven't got a chance to pop outside, so.
No. Well, that's what you have me here for. I'm going to get this microphone closer to me. Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Carlene, great to see your gorgeous face.
Thank you.
Nick, wonderful to see you too.
Your gorgeous
Nice
face.
to see you.
So this is actually one of the big reasons why, if you were watching our regular newscast or on WCNC Plus on Saturday, why I issued an impact alert day for this. It is not crazy storms. It is not even really that heavy of rain, but my mindset here was that while it's not severe weather, it's impactful weather, especially because Tuesday and Wednesday are expected to be the biggest, travel days, especially by car. And we're already seeing areas of rain. What I need you to think about, though, is that this is round one if round two is coming in later on tonight. So this is more light rain, more of a cold air damming setup where we have the wedge set up, especially across the mountain areas. However, it's not going to be like that all day. We will see higher chances for rain and thunderstorms even isolated across the Piedmont later on tonight. So this is a live picture here from Boone and King Street. Of course, right when I show it to you, my Beach Mountain camera went out. So let's go to another one. Here's Monroe, where it's not actively raining yet. Rain has not arrived yet in Union County. And then here's a look here on our WCNC Charlotte tower cam. Now, again, pretty cloudy out there, pretty drizzly. I don't even know. That's not even a word. But yes, pretty drizzly, low-hanging clouds. Kind of a gross day. Can't really say much more about it than that. Now, here's the deal. Again, this is the main line. This is the main rain line ahead of that chance for storms later on today. You can see it on satellite and radar. As we zoom a little bit closer, you'll notice it's pretty much light rain knocking on Charlotte's doorstep. The good news is that this has fallen apart a bit as it's gotten closer to the Charlotte area. Mainly some wind gusts reported between about 20 to 25 miles an hour, which could, of course, loosen some of those holiday decorations. But again, hopefully we were prepared for this if we were watching WCNC Plus over the last few days. If you are in any of these areas, this is an estimated time of arrival, but in Matthews, Mint Hill area around 12:45, so you got about 10 minutes or so. Monroe, Spencer closer to 1 p.m., eventually pushing into the Winston-Salem area by 1:30. So this storm system is actually moving pretty quick at about 35 miles an hour, so it's moving in quick and moving out quick. But again, this is just round one of more rain and storms that are on the way. So here's 8 o'clock tonight. You can see a couple of those isolated thunderstorms moving into parts of Cleveland County. That's essentially right over the Charlotte Metro around 10 or 11. So the good news is that when it comes to the storm chances, there's some of you maybe who planned on traveling late tonight. So being on the lookout for that. But I think the majority of folks are not driving to their Thanksgiving plans at 11 p.m. Now, I say that, but then I reminisce back to the olden days when I was a young kid and my parents would send us to bed early and they'd get us up really early, like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, so that we could get in the car. And by the time we got in the car, we'd be back asleep so we wouldn't annoy my parents. When I say we, myself, my sister, and my brother. I guess he wasn't even born then. But so if you're one of those people who maybe are like, I'm just going to trick my kids and put them in the car at 11 p.m., just be careful because we will see those storms again across the metro. Thankfully, the rain moves up pretty quickly by Wednesday, so I don't anticipate any travel issues if you're going to be out and about Wednesday morning. Probably by the time everybody's waking up with the sunrise, all of it's over. So again, now through early Wednesday, right now it's periods of rain, a few thunderstorms this afternoon. I would say use some caution on the roadways. Maybe have your phones charged just in case. That's always something I do, honestly, even when I'm just heading to a school talk, because you just never know when you're going to need it. How much rain could we see? 1/4 of an inch to about 1/2 of an inch for the most part. You can kind of see it's not a ton of rain, but as we know, with the recent drought, we'll kind of take anything we can get. Temperature-wise, because of this rain, we've actually seen temperatures drop throughout the day instead of rise so far. In fact, just a little bit ago, Charlotte Douglas was at about 71, 72. Now it's at 66. So we're starting to see the impacts of the rain-cooled air. There will be a much different weather story in Charlotte compared to the Sandhills, where it's already in the mid-70s and it's still sunny, compared to the cold air damming and wedge setup that we have in the mountains, where it's chilly, cold, just kind of a disgusting day there. They're right now in the 40s. A few of those areas in the foothills, you can see 50s and 60s. So highs today will be very, very split. The Piedmont, again, 70s. Charlotte's probably hit their high so far today, since we are unlikely to warm back up. But notice that places, again, in Chirac, Rockingham, mid to upper 70s versus the 50s up in the mountains. Remember, the wedge, the cold air damming setup, is essentially where we have the cold and drizzly air that gets trapped by the warm air. And so that combination of the two essentially allows for clouds to hang out near the ground and for us to have kind of a gross day. It's a very December setup here so far today. So as we look ahead, weather impact alert today for those scattered showers, isolated thunderstorms, and really the next big story is that we have a cold snap on the way. A lot of social media hype just last week on this. It is going to cool down. We are going to see chillier temperatures, but it is not going to be anything dangerous here across the Charlotte area. Your Thanksgiving forecast, yes, looks a little bit cooler. We're in the 50s in the afternoon, but freezing around the morning time. 40s and 50s in the afternoon is just a hair below where we should be. So versus last week where we were like 20 degrees above average, thankfully we're not 20 degrees colder than average, because that would put our lows in the teens, and we're going to be nowhere near that. So you can kind of see the change here when it comes to high of 60 right now, 70s continuing, and then that drop. But again, it's a very, very temporary drop, as we'll eventually be back in the 50s heading into next week. Could see a few mornings this week with an isolated frost or freeze. Remember, the growing season has officially ended, but if you have sensitive vegetation or you're just now deciding to plant, make sure Friday morning, Saturday morning, and Sunday morning you're covering up those plants, bringing them inside, or taking precautions to make sure that they will last throughout the fall and winter months. Meteorological winter officially begins on Monday, December 1st, and it is day 7 of our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. So it looks like a lot of stuff is happening here, and it is, but a lot of it is related to fun stuff across the Carolinas. So today, we're weather impact alert for that rain and kind of isolated thunderstorm activity. Thursday, we're a little bit cooler. Yes, chillier in the morning, but again, not terrible. Next home game series for the Checkers is Friday and Saturday. Sunday, the Panthers are at home, and we'll eventually see a few more showers in that 7-day forecast, which for the meteorologist side of me is very happy, because again, we still need the rain. But on the other hand, Sunday and Monday are my days off, and I was planning on taking Carlene's dog Turkey and my dog Roger to the Whitewater Center, so that might not be happening. But
it'll be a little muddy.
Maybe the following weekend.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, and they especially Roger loves to jump in mud.
Loves mud.
Yeah, he used to hate water, Nick. Well, he does still hate water. And all of a sudden, he went one weekend with Carlene to the Whitewater Center and just decided he was just going to jump in mud, and then tried to shame her into bathing him. And she's like, "You sit in that mud, and I'll bathe you later."
Nice, happy medium. Mud is a nice, happy.
Carlene's
looking at me like,
because I know he doesn't like water,
yeah,
and then he just jumped headfirst into mud, and then came out looking like SPCA commercial, and I was like, Roger,
look, I'm here for whatever Roger wants to do.
Of course you are.
Whatever Roger wants to do, he should do it. Shout out to Roger.
Yeah.
Shout out to Roger.
Sweet baby angel.
Shout out to Roger.
Yes, officially 8 as of last week, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Are you taking my picture?
Yeah.
It's what? Wow.
It's secondhand experience. You know what I mean?
Roger's 8.
Yeah, he just had his birthday on November 13th.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
It's because he's so tiny.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's like when you see, like, you associate like a little dog like that, because he's Shih Tzu Yorkie, like with them being like small, so that means they're young, but they're not.
No.
Which is funny because it was, I guess, not as much because he just turned 8, so I haven't told as many people. But I feel like all the time, Carly does, people would be like, how old is he? And I'm like, 7. And you would say the same thing. They'd be like, 7 months. I'm like, years.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
he's so spry. I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, he's just a
Shout out
little,
to-
little crazy
Shout out
dog,
to-
obsessed
out-
with tennis balls.
Shout out to senior citizens.
But I'm so excited.
Senior citizen dogs, I should say.
Well, okay, don't say that about him.
Oh, he's a
No,
little.
no,
already- All right, okay, all right.
But I'm so excited to have turkey this weekend.
Yeah.
Yay. And next week.
Yay.
Young turkey.
Young turkey.
Young turkey.
He's
Yeah,
only 3.
Carlene's going on a little trip, so turkey's staying with
Going on
Auntie
a trip.
Brett.
Before you on that trip, we still got more work to do, Carlene.
I got a lot to do, actually,
Yeah.
before I go.
No,
So much
she
to
is the
do.
hardest worker ever. She's done with work for the
Stop.
week.
Thank you guys.
Brittany, thank you for your
Thank you,
time.
Nick.
Thank you for stopping by as always. All right, so we want to switch gears. We want to go back to that breaking news that we were following out of St. Paul, Minnesota. We want to take you now to our content partners, Care 11, continuing to follow this breaking news, federal agent activity in St. Paul. Let's take a listen into what's being said.
We've got stop deporting our neighbors here right now here, and some other signs here. Obviously, like I said, this has prompted quite the reaction from folks in the neighborhood here this morning. Here, we'll turn around here. This is about mid-block here. You can kind of see the amount of folks that have gathered out here. Obviously, this activity has touched off a lot of anxiety and some frustration with neighbors here. In fact, I want to show you here right now, because we showed you that video earlier of the OC spray being deployed here. These are bottles of water that folks were using to wash eyes out here. We saw one woman who is apparently suffering from asthma. She was in a little bit of respiratory distress here. If you've ever been hit with this stuff, it is not pleasant. It really burns the throat and the eyes here, and especially because we've got a very misty, foggy morning here in St. Paul, the spray does carry a bit. It carries a little more distance here than it normally would.
Dave, we appreciate you showing us that scene, because it is going on for several blocks now, or for that area. You said it's also behind the house. I'm curious, because we've seen the protesters, Dave. How many federal agents have you seen? How many cars are there? Is this a large presence?
Lauren, I would say it's maybe a couple of dozen federal agents in total here.
A couple dozen. So it's a reasonable presence.
Yeah.
It's a pretty large presence.
It's a reasonable presence here, yes. There's definitely more protesters than there are federal agents on scene, I can tell you that.
Yeah, so it is, but it is a relatively large presence. It's not 1 or 2 agents. This is a crowd.
Yeah.
Dave, I'm wondering, maybe we can take up the map right now just to orient our viewers as to where we are at that 600 Rose Avenue East in St. Paul.
Yeah.
That's near Maryland Avenue. It's near Payne Avenue. Just to give you a sense of that neighborhood. It is a neighborhood that has an immigrant community in St. Paul. It's near a local library, near a local church. Just so people know where we're talking about.
And Lauren, this is also a very densely populated neighborhood here, too. I mean, there's a lot of families in this neighborhood here. This is not like, say, uptown where you have apartment buildings, but this is a lot of families with homes here. Some folks are concerned, obviously, about those chemicals coming into their homes here and what they might be being exposed to here. But yeah, as you said, we're about midway between 35E and Arcade Street. So again, if you're familiar with this area here, we're just to the northeast of downtown St. Paul here.
Well, Dave, I'm going to let you go now to do some more gathering of news, find out what's happening, see what you can learn. We appreciate your reporting out there as one of the first journalists on the scene. So thank you for keeping us up to date. We will likely check back with you in just a bit.
All right. Thank you.
All right, to update those of you who are just joining us, we are on the scene of what appears to be an ICE raid at the 600 block of Rose Avenue in St. Paul. As we were saying, that is near Maryland and Payne Avenues. This is the live scene. Here's the map right now to just again show you where this is. Dave Peterlins, our photojournalist who we've been talking to on the scene, tells us he's seen around 24 federal agents out there. We have confirmed at least some of those agents are from ICE, Immigrations Enforcement. And then there are many more protesters out there who you see on screen right now. Again, this is a live picture. The federal agents appear to be focused on a residential home there, not a business, as we saw last week in St. Paul. And these protesters have gathered on the scene, alerted via social media channels that this was happening. So they have come to try and prevent ICE activity and to certainly protest it. I want to show you some video from a little bit earlier that Dave Peterlins was able to capture. Now, what you see here is a line of St. Paul police, and Dave did confirm these are St. Paul police, and you see them spraying tear gas at a line of protesters. What Dave tells us is that those protesters were trying to essentially create a human chain to block access to the home, and St. Paul police, who seem to be on scene there doing crowd control, deployed these chemical irritants, and you can see protesters there wiping their eyes. There are water bottles on the floors. They've been trying to rinse out their eyes here on this scene in St. Paul. We have reached out at KARE 11 to St. Paul Police. We've reached out to ICE. We've reached out to the U.S. Marshals. So far, we have no update from any of them. St. Paul Police tell me in a text a short while ago that they're working to get a handle on what's happening and get some facts. They're going to bring it to us as soon as possible. Mayor Carter, we're just told, is on scene right now. He told us no comment. And I want to just sort of give a sense of the significance of St. Paul being on scene. 1 week ago, there was an ICE raid at a business in St. Paul called Brotex. At that point, around a dozen people were detained by ICE. And at that point, there was a violent interaction between federal agents and protesters. There were projectiles being thrown. There were pushing and shoving, and then those chemical irritants. But at that point, St. Paul Police was not at all involved. And Mayor Carter, who also came to that scene, was very clear that St. Paul will not assist in federal immigration enforcement or raids. So it is interesting to me to see St. Paul Police on scene here, though they may be doing crowd enforcement, as we have seen in Minneapolis occur. But that is something we're going to want to get more details from Mayor Carter about when he is willing to speak to us about it, because that is a controversial step for people who are opposed to ICE raids in our cities, is local police being involved in any sort of way. Of course, it is controversial on the other side as well, as people who support the actions of ICE and the federal government would prefer that local law enforcement assist. So again, here is a live picture of the scene. We have several crews on scene, including Dave Peterlins, who was just out trying to gather more information. Dave, I'm wondering if there's anything new you can tell us.
Yeah, so Lauren, as we spoke here just a few minutes ago, the scene here has it is relatively quiet at the moment here. In fact, we got some more folks here slowly trickling in here to the scene here. Obviously, as you said, folks have found out about this through social media, so folks are slowly descending on this part of the Payne-Phelan neighborhood here. But yeah, we'll show you here right now. It is really, at this point, as I said earlier, a standoff a little bit here. Protesters are staying in their area at the moment here. Police are in their area here. There's been no confrontations here, at least within the last 15, 20 minutes or so. It's a very different scene from that video that we showed you when we joined you here.
Looks like we've lost Dave Peterlin's signal.
Yep.
He's been out there doing great work, reporting, one of the first journalists on the scene, bringing us this information and this video of tear gas being deployed on protesters. Did I hear Dave? Is he back with us?
Lauren, I'm back with you here.
Okay. Sorry, your signal cut out for just a moment. Continue what you were saying.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing is people are trying to get a hold of me here, and unfortunately that breaks our live stream here. So yeah, just to kind of reset things here, as you've been saying here, we're in the 600 block of Rose here right now. And again, the situation at this point is it is relatively calm here. We're not seeing some of the confrontations that we saw earlier here. We're not seeing any more tear gas or OC spray being deployed on the crowd here. And I don't know if we can show that video here. We've gone back to it a couple of times here, but I want to show you here. This is the scene here about maybe an hour ago here. That line of St. Paul police officers pushing the crowd that had gathered here to protest federal agents in this neighborhood here. What we were told is that there was allegedly some sort of medical emergency going on in the house that agents have been in and out of here, and St. Paul police were trying to push people back.
Dave, we lost your signal.
Our signal
again.
There for a second here.
Okay. But Dave, I do have a question about that, if I can interrupt
Yes.
real quick. You've talked about this medical emergency that they were trying to push protesters back. Have you seen an ambulance or anyone brought out of the house? Any sort of medics dealing with a medical emergency?
I have not seen any medics here. That doesn't mean they're not here, because we're on the Rose Avenue side here. Up on the other side of me is Maryland Avenue here. And so there's obviously some more space. They can bring an ambulance, that St. Paul Fire can bring their medics in here to try to deal with that alleged situation here.
All right, Dave, thank you again for that update. We'll let you go continue to gather information and video. Hopefully we can keep this live picture up so we can keep an eye on what's happening there. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Again, that was photojournalist David Peterlins reporting from the 600 block of Rose Avenue in St. Paul. We've been following breaking news out there as what we believe and have confirmed to be an ICE raid in that St. Paul neighborhood has again prompted protesters to gather. Here's again a live picture at the scene there. We're a little ways back. You can see a fairly large crowd gathered surrounding a house. That appears to be the subject of this raid, according to our journalists on the scene. Federal agents entering this house at the 600 block of Rose Avenue East in St. Paul. To give you a sense on the map, but you can't really see the other street names, it is just south of Maryland Avenue, just west of Payne Avenue, in that St. Paul neighborhood. And the federal agents who've been there, what we know from our crews on the scene is that they have not seen any video of people being detained by the federal agents. We have not seen anyone brought out of that house. They do say that David Peterlins, our photojournalist, saw roughly 24 federal agents there in their cars. Again, CARE has confirmed at least some of those agents are from ICE, Immigration Enforcement, but again, has not seen anyone arrested or detained by those agents at this moment. In this moment, it does appear relatively peaceful right now between the protesters who have gathered and the agents on scene, but we do have video from earlier of St. Paul police tear gassing protesters who were attempting, Dave Peterlins says, to form, it appeared, a human chain to prevent people from getting into the house, and St. Paul police said that there was a medical emergency, so they needed people to move away. We are working to get more information on this. Again, we have reached out to St. Paul police, we've reached out to ICE, we've reached out to the U.S. Marshals. Still no word yet, official confirmation or comment from any of those folks. But again, we have crews on the scene. We're going to continue to follow this, and if anything changes, we'll make sure to bring it to you first live here on KARE 11 News Now. Also, you can follow us on our app for your phone and on our newscasts at noon, 4, 5, and 6 today.
All right, so that was live coverage from our content partners there, KARE 11 there in Minneapolis, Minnesota, covering an apparent ICE raid there in the city. As soon as we get more updates, additional updates on what's unfolding there, we will bring that to you here live on Live Impact News. But for now, let's take a break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to continue on a story that we broke yesterday evening, and that was 2 men convicted yesterday, in the fatal shooting of a popular Charlotte restaurant co-owner during a 2019 robbery. Terry Connor, Stephen Staples were found guilty of murder, kidnapping, and robbery charges in the death of Scott Brooks, who was killed at his family's Brooks Sandwich House restaurant in Noda, a very popular restaurant, back on December 9th, 2019. Both men received life sentences without the possibility of parole. I want to send it out to Jessie Pierre, who has done amazing work around the story. She's been covering this trial since the very beginning. Jessie is following up on this story. Jessie, you're talking to community people because, again, this is a story that's had high community interest, a popular restaurant. We heard from the family yesterday evening. So what are you hearing from the community today, Jessie?
Well, you know, folks I spoke to, community members, people who live in the area, and customers, you know, they're just happy that, you know, the family can close this chapter with the trial being over and this guilty verdict for both defendants. I'm here at Brooks Sandwich House now. They are closed today, but they, you know, put up a post on their Facebook saying that they are taking a break and they will be back on Monday. So they'll be closed this entire week. But folks, and I'll step out, you know, as you know, Brooks Sandwich House, usually during this time, during lunchtime, there's a really long line of customers, but again, they are closed for the week just because of this trial and a moment to just kind of rest, right? It's been 6 years since they've been waiting for this moment, waiting for justice, waiting for this verdict, and waiting to really move on from all of this. And, you know, folks I spoke to in the community, again, you know, some of them actually lived here 6 years ago. One woman told me, you know, she heard the gunshots early in that morning of December 9th of 2019, and she says she is just glad that this chapter can be over. But the community has really poured into this business. Again, you know, they've been around 50 years plus, and you know, it's a cash only business. But you know, even during the trial, there was another restaurant who was helping them with staffing while they were going in and out of trial and so forth. And the community continues to stand behind them. Now, we know they have really good burgers, but you know, the community continues to support this mom and pop shop, you know, that's been here for decades, and you know, standing behind them through this and beyond. And when we heard from David Brooks yesterday, you know, he even had a moment to address the court, telling, everyone that, you know, he lost his brother, he lost his heart, he called him a hero. But, you know, his brother would be happy to see all of the support that they've gotten. So we will have those stories, again, community impact, community reactions at 5 and 6 tonight. Nick?
All right, Jessie, again, thank you for your work on this. Incredible work, been covering this since the very beginning. Again, as she mentioned, catch her at 5 and 6. All right, thank you, Jessie. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. So, look, we're approaching the holidays. We're approaching Thanksgiving. And, look, a lot of y'all got plans for Thanksgiving, but a lot of y'all don't have plans for Black Friday. I know. A lot of people go out shopping. They go and, throughout the day. Mm-hmm. But at night, you probably don't have any plans. Do y'all do plans for Black Friday night? Like, do y'all do things on Black Friday? I don't normally.
Not that I know of.
Shopping.
I mean, yeah, I'm usually shopping.
Maybe if you're tired of shopping. Maybe if you're waiting for a Small Business Saturday,
Yep.
Cyber Monday,
Yep.
An event you might want to keep in mind. Queen City Omega's a Black Friday comedy show. So we had comedians, Ryan Davis. You may have heard of Ryan Davis. Internet sensation, actor, producer, again, comedian. Also, we had T Springs here in studio. Tito Kuntz, all comedians talking about the show. A really good interview. James was here for the interview. A really good time. It's always interesting when you're in a room full of comedians, but we talked about the show. We talked about their beginnings, where they're all from North Carolina, and we talked about so much more. Let's check out the interview.
I'm good, Nick. I'm rolling.
Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right, welcome in. So we have some special guests. We have a crowded room. I think we're doing something we haven't done before. You see them out there. That's Tito Kuntz, that's T Springs, and that's Ryan Davis, comedians. So they're going to be here in the area on Black Friday, man, for the Queen City Omega's Black Friday comedy show. An exciting time, man. Thank you guys for coming in, man.
Appreciate you.
My pleasure.
Coming
Thank
in.
you for having me.
Yeah, man.
To give us this opportunity to be with you guys on live.
Talk about the show. What can folks expect? Because it's a Black Friday. People, man, they be going over, grandma's house, auntie house, getting those leftovers, and they need something to do. They're not going to work on Friday.
True.
So what?
So
what can they
we want
expect?
them to come out and bust their guts with laughter. Now, they're already going to be busting their guts from the food the day before. We want to come in and bust their guts with plenty of laughter the whole night long. You got myself, Tito Kuntz. I'm hosting the show, and we've got saxophonist, jazz saxophonist by the name of Alex Milan. He's going to open it up to sort of saute the ladies as they're coming in. Is that a word? If not, I just made it up.
Yeah. We'll make it a word.
Saute. And then I'm going to come out and start the show off. And then we've got a female by the name of Janine Slaughter, who's coming in to, I guess, satisfy the ladies' taste of comedy as well, because people always say, Tito, you don't bring no women in. I want to see some women. So we've got her on the show. And then my guy, T Springs, is going to do his thing, rip it up, and set the stage for the underrated Ryan Davis.
Yeah.
So that's what we got. Black Friday, 8 o'clock at the Oasis Shrine Temple.
Let's get to you, T Springs, man. What can folks expect from your set, man?
Oh, I'm
on Friday?
silly. I'm silly. I'm like that relatable, silly cousin, nephew that you got that you've been telling him his whole life he funny, he should do comedy. I finally decided to really do it 10 years ago, and I've been loving it ever since. My style of comedy is just, you're going to be able to relate to it. You're going to be able to look at me up there and hear what I'm saying and be able to say either you have somebody in your family like that or you can secondhand know that situation. That's just how I bring my style of comedy, which makes me and Ryan such a good team, because he can come in and give you everything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of like just set the table, and he come in there and just plate everything and kills it. So I love it, man. And I always working with the Queen City Omegas, man. Every time we've done shows with them, Tito has always provided a room for us to be able to do our thing and showcase our talent. And I speak on, when I say us, I mean almost every comedian in North Carolina, period. Yeah, that's worth doing a show.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, if you're good enough to do it, then yeah. Yeah, and his rooms are always great too. When he said the ladies, it's always like It's always 70-80% women.
I'm just saying, we the Qs, they go
I look, I'm not gonna hold it against you. You on the other side of 1911. I'm on the good side of 1911. I just want to throw that out there.
Y'all start that talk. I'm gonna move out the way.
I just want to throw that out there. I had to take a shot.
It's always the Capitalists got to give us some notoriety. We don't even mention y'all.
Throwing stones at the guy.
And we're gonna wrap up this interview just now. Ryan, I want to ask you something, man. So I've heard somebody referred to you on a podcast as I've heard it on a couple of podcasts, greatest in your generation. but the title is underrated. Your special is underrated.
Yeah.
Do you really believe you're underrated?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. The funny part is the people who say I'm the greatest of my generation are people who know what it is that I do. The reason I say underrated is because a lot of the general public, there'll be people watching this that goes, I've never heard of them. And then you got people
That's
like,
crazy.
yeah, you know what I mean? You got people like D.L. Hughley and Dave Chappelle and people like that going, no, he's the greatest of his generation. And there's the disconnect. So when I dropped my special, Underrated, you know, it's out. It's been out for a month, 2 million views, you know.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Congratulations, man. Clap it up, man. Clap it up. Clap it up.
Yeah, people, you know, hopefully after, you know, the run of the special and by the time I shoot the second one, it won't be the case anymore. People understand why they call me that. But as of right now, I still kind of feel it. Yeah.
Okay. T Springs, how long have you been working with Ryan?
What's today? We've been knowing
2 days
people
before
don't know is, and we have to explain this to people a lot of times. They think sometimes they see comedians together and they automatically assume that comedy is what brought them together. Me and Ron been knowing each other since childhood.
Wow.
You know, we grew up in the same neighborhood together. We got an uncle in common that ain't either one of our uncles.
Yeah, he married both our aunts.
So you know what I mean? So like we like cousin-in-laws. I don't know what it is, but like me and Ron been knowing each other since like grade school.
He
I
the
know his
first
whole
kid I
family.
saw when I walked out the door.
Yeah. So like we
In
just
my
so
life,
happened
he was the first kid.
to
Yeah.
be funny. And when we embarked on this relationship as far as comedy goes, he was actually doing comedy at the time and doing videos online. So we was just trying to figure out a way of monetizing it. You know, so like I was pretty much what he called at the time a brain truck. And while that, you know, time from I think 2013 to 2015, I was monitoring and watching and seeing how comedy is supposed to be done.
Yeah.
And I finally got up enough nerve. He put me on the list one night and made me do 3 minutes.
Oh, I thought he was about to lie. I
And
tricked him into doing comedy.
He
I told him
tricked me.
to come see me perform. He got there and his name was on the list.
Oh, snap.
3 minutes had to feel like an hour.
But you got to understand with those 3 minutes over the last 2 years as we're traveling from state to state and I'm doing jokes in the car.
Yeah.
And I'm going over material to where he's made up in his mind for me that I'm
He
funny
can
enough.
do it. Yeah, you can do it.
So
Stop playing.
you got to do 3 minutes. And I went up there and it was the most exhilarating feeling at a time when I
Yeah.
really needed that. So I was like, yo, this is what we're doing. And for a while we worked and did comedy and it wasn't until we decided to put both feet in that we really start seeing, you know, the fruits of our labor in this comedy game. And ever since then, we just been running together, making it happen.
Concourse on right there,
Yes,
man.
sir. Canaples.
Cape
Make sure we-
Okay, okay.
We both from Canaples. He moved to Concord.
Okay.
He had to go to that other school.
Ooh.
Wow.
That other friend, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of beef going on.
It's a lot of beef out
that we ain't beefing about. You know what I'm saying?
Who were y'all? I want to, Tito. I want to ask you this too. Early influences. It could be either in comedy, just in life, man. Because I feel like those influences shape you to who we are today, right? Like, who are those early influences for you guys?
For me, being that I guess I'm the elder statesman here, I got into comedy back in the mid-'80s.
So Lenny Bruce.
No.
Nah, I'm playing.
Bruce,
That's a throwback.
Sorry. I put him in the black and white area.
But Rich Pryor, who I consider as the GOAT, that OG there, he was the one that really sort of made me think that I want to do this.
Yeah.
And when I first started, there was no black rooms, as we used to call them. There were no black comedy clubs, no BET Comic View, no Def Jam. It was just rooms, predominantly white rooms. And I went there thinking I was going to be the next Eddie Murphy or Richard Pryor. Not so much. Not so much. So at that point, after about a year's time frame, I decided to change up my way of thinking. And I thought about it after a guy told me, said, well, Tito, you got to be yourself. You got to be yourself. Don't try to be someone else. You can't be the next Rich Pryor. You got to be Tito Kuntz. And from that point on, I decided to be me. And it's been over 30 years in the game. And as T mentioned, that my Omega house, the Queen City Omegas, we have a frat house here on Statesville Avenue, the Omegas of Charlotte, and started doing shows there once a month back in 1997.
Wow.
28 years later, we're still running. And to their point,
Big right there, man.
I brought in comedians from all over the country that have since gone big time and all of that. Touched the stage, blessed the stage, and got on the mic and just said, I just want to do 3 minutes. I heard you have a room here. So we've been running it. And that was where it started. That's where it's still going. And it was a pleasure to see this guy get on my stage, and these two guys as well. And he might tell you about way back in the day.
I heard about a story.
What you heard about?
We're going to get to that in a minute.
Okay.
T Springs, early influences, man.
For me, watching Eddie act, like I was a big fan of like 48 Hours, stuff like that. Not so much of the comedy special frame, but one of the earlier influences for me as a whole was Def Comedy Jam. Me and my older cousin, we used to like secretly VHS tape and what we call dub them. You know what I'm saying?
We did that same thing.
And then like, you know, write something over the top of the, you know, so we didn't want our parents to know that we was really indulging in this. So like we would go back when we had free time and rewatch those things. So like watching those guys hit the stage, for me at that time, it didn't seem, you know, conceivable. It didn't seem like that was something that I could actually do. It was like watching superheroes, right?
Yeah.
I never thought that I could actually do that. Getting a little bit older, I seen J.J. Williamson perform on Cedric the Entertainer had a thing he did.
First Amendment.
Yeah. No, it was like some kind of boxing theme that they had. It was a tape they did. It was some boxing theme that they had because Lil Duval was on it at the time. He was still using his real name at the time. And I watched J.J. Williamson do a set on there, and I remember thinking like, if I did comedy, I want that. I want to be, because it seemed totally original. It didn't seem like doing Michael Jackson jokes or whoever the president at the time was jokes. It was like his life. And I was like, if I did comedy, I want to do that. And for me to actually get to a point where I felt like it was conceivable and something that I could actually do, and I had a chance at it, was watching this guy. Watching the guy that I grew up with, that we both had the same households, we both had nothing, we both was trying to do something, and watching strangers want pictures, want an autograph, want to buy a t-shirt, and you go up in front of strangers and tell your life story. I was like, nah, maybe I got a chance. So yeah, those are my influences, and I'm still being influenced to this day. We still got a long way to go.
Man, Ryan, I see you smiling a little bit, man. when you hear that, I want to hear your influences.
I wasn't expecting that. That was just, you know. Man, why you say that? But my influence is my father is the funniest man I know. I think he's absolutely hilarious. He could have done this if he had made the choice. That was my first influence, but he created a funny family. All my siblings are funny. Some of them don't even know they're as funny as they are because they're being dead serious. But and then when it came to comedy, and I grew up in a household that my parents loved watching comedy. I remember like watching HBO specials the night they debuted. Like we was all in front of the television. I remember when Chris Rock did Bring the Pain and Bigger and Blacker, like the moment
classics.
It came on.
Classics. Yeah.
I was front dead center watching it, and Kevin Hart is one of my bigger influences as far as once I saw Let Me Explain and the ending of it or whatever, I got on stage 3 days later. Like, so as far as those are my biggest influences as far as who moved me to go pursue this. But influence as far as my style, it's definitely more Dave Chappelle, Patrice O'Neal, Bill Burr, kinda. Yeah.
Man. Yo, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I thought you was gonna shed a tear at first when he was talking about you. I was waiting for that too. But
Nah. It just caught me off guard.
Nah.
Got him.
Yeah.
Got your moment.
But it just shows, man. Comedy, man, just in different ways, even from your family, man, it just can influence you, man. I got to get back to what Tito was gonna bring. I was gonna bring it up. I heard the story about Ryan's first appearance at the show. How it went.
He
was very humble about it. Yeah.
Okay.
He was very humble about it.
Oh yeah.
But y'all did the right thing.
Turned my life around.
Is that a great setup for the story?
Yeah. Let's hand it over to him.
Okay.
Yes,
I didn't know
like
who
What happened?
That's an alley-oop.
Tito booked me to play the Mega House the first time. So there
Put
was
money in his pockets.
There was a place somewhere. It was a room. I forgot. But Tito had saw me there, and I did very well.
Yeah.
And Tito was like, "Cool."
I saw potential.
I saw it. Let's work. You know what I mean?
What year was this?
Woo.
14.
14.
Okay.
Yeah, probably
14.
214. Yeah.
Okay.
Ain't no, probably. It was 2014.
He knows exactly.
It was 2014. I was like, oh man, because though, like, if you are a comic coming up here in Charlotte, Mega House is the best room in the city. You know what I mean? You know it's gonna be packed. You know that they enjoy comedy. They come to laugh. Ain't no excuses. You
And it's
do
like a
your
rite of
job.
passage. You know what I'm saying? It's a rite of passage for him to want you to come into his building.
Oh yeah, it's invite only, baby. There's no yeah. There ain't no list you can sign to get on. No nothing. No, you get booked to this. So this is the, we see you. And I've been wanting to work the room. You know what I mean? All my OGs was playing the room. Everything. Everybody I respected. And I was like, man, I finally get this opportunity. I invited friends out, family out. The girl I had a crush on, I invited her out. She sat
Boy,
front
this sounds like a
row.
recipe for disaster.
Oh man,
She said where?
right in front, Nick. Right in front, right in front.
And that's where you messed up.
Boy, and when I tell you, I bombed like nobody ever bombed before. I couldn't believe it because it was the first bomb of my career. Not only am I bombing, I'm bombing in front of people I care about.
Yes.
And I'm bombing in a room after, and I'm telling you, Tito killed. Like everybody was killed. I was the only person who didn't do well that day. So you can't say, oh, it's the crowd.
No.
It was me. It was 100% me. Oh my gosh. And then my guy Antoine Scott was the closer, right?
Yeah.
Set the building on fire. He was murdering. And I'm watching the girl I like, who didn't even laugh at me, just knocking stuff off the table, laughing at somebody else. It broke me. I was like, this will never happen to me again. I ain't even want Tito to pay me.
He did. True. He's telling the truth.
I ain't even want him to pay me.
After every show, I take all the comedians back in office and I speak with them and I give them their pay.
Yeah.
He told me he did not deserve it.
I didn't deserve it.
Sure did. I said, no, my word is bond. You get it.
Yeah, he made me he forced the money
Sure
upon
did.
me. But I didn't because you paid me to do a job, I didn't do the job. You shouldn't get paid for it.
And I want to say this. That's what I've always liked about Ron. He cares about the art form of what we do. Like that's the loyalty and respect that we have for Tito. That's one thing, but like he cares more about the art form. He's never chased the money. We can make enough money to get to the next city. We okay. He cares so much about the art form that he's left a lot of meat on the bone. Because he don't want it that way.
Yeah.
A lot of opportunities that probably came across his table that he probably denied because that don't fit what he is into. You know what I'm saying? And he started out doing stand-up comedy first, right?
Yeah.
And the internet became a means for him to get noticed to be able to go do that thing. So a lot of times people are pressing, hey man, where's the videos? We enjoy your videos. We enjoy it, but that is to get me on stage. I'm here now. He cares more about his art form that he's trying to build. So 20, 30 years from now, people can talk about that as a legacy. I love that. You know what I mean? If I can paint a great picture and it takes me 30 years to paint it, as long as it's the 16th chapel, I'm cool. I don't need to paint 3,000 pictures. You know what I mean? I think we need more of that in the game. People that really care about this art form. A lot of people are trying to jump the line. They want to be famous. They want girls. They want the money. They want the fame and all that stuff. But they not expounding on their art form. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like you're not getting better at it. You know what I mean? It's just I know people. I've been doing it 10 years, and I've passed a lot of people as far as the art form, and it's not something I'm proud of. These are peers or friends of mine. I'm like, yo, how you not getting better? And you performing as much as me. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't care about the art form. They care about, I got a girl phone number last night when I got on stage. Tito paid me. Like, oh.
You talking about humility, man. It's humility, man.
Yeah, and I ended up, but that's why I
Well, let me
Tito.
tell him this. When we were in the back office talking, he didn't want to take the money. He said, Tito, if you give me another chance, I'll come and redeem myself. I said, you got it. Sure did. And booked him, I forgot when it was, but I booked him later on. And that,
it was a roast for his retirement.
Exactly, that's right.
Yeah.
He went viral in that same month. It was like everything was happening in that month.
But I was like, and this is the thing, a lot of people for some reason don't know I can roast. I don't know why they don't know this.
You know what it is? You come off as a nice guy.
Yeah.
Them be the ones.
Yeah.
That's
Like, them be the ones when they say the roast stuff, it hurts you the worst because they be like the truth. Like, articulate
Yeah. Look, I'm in the room with comedians right now. I'm not about to step out of bounds and say any jokes because y'all gonna roast me. I'm too sensitive. I might cry.
Kids. I'm one of 8 kids.
Yeah.
And my dad is the funny one.
Yeah.
I got more practice than anybody should ever get at roasting. So, and I love the art form.
Yeah.
So when Tito, hired me to do it, I was just sitting there. I was like, man, they have no idea. I'm about to murder everybody. And then after I did my set or whatever, Tito was like, I got a date for you.
Yep.
Let's say, and that's when I met Marvin Hunter, and now Marvin has become one of my best friends.
Wow.
Marvin Hunter.
Yeah.
Look him up.
Tito, I got to ask you, man, my last question for y'all, man. When you look at their careers, even yourself, man, what comes to mind, man?
Success without the hoop line in a sense.
Yeah.
Because they started humble, sort of like on the underground. A lot of these cats that have come through, and they just matriculated their way up the ladder.
Yeah.
And they're doing big things. And a lot of them told me over the years, said, man, no matter how high I get in this game, if you call me and need me, I'll be back. Just like that.
Wow.
So it feels good for me to sit here with these guys, knowing them personally and all of that, and to see that their careers are just ascending still. It makes me feel good.
I got to ask y'all, man, when y'all hear that, man.
I mean, it's spot on because we don't need to be booked in Charlotte, Concord, Kannapolis area.
Yeah.
We can do that ourselves,
Yeah.
right? We don't let people call us and say, "Hey, I want to book you here." We can do that. We have a strong enough pull in ourselves, but it's Tito. So like when Tito called me and say what he wants done, I already know what Ryan's like, get it done. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's him. Like no other promoter or somebody with a room can call us and say, hey, I got this much money and I want to do that, because it's backwards for us to to do that. But for them, of course, like he said, we've always stayed true to that.
Yeah.
What you want? What we doing? How we doing it? Like just however, whatever. And Tito is a businessman, so he want to be like, I want to make sure I'm dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's. Come on, Tito, it's you, bro. We gonna get it done. You know what I mean? And like I say, with me and Ryan's success, if that's what you want to call it, sometimes we have survivor's remorse. You know what I mean? Like I still go back and hang where I'm from and kick it with the homie. I'm still the same guy. And we've lost a lot of friends and family members that think we've changed.
Yeah.
Like no, I'm the same guy. You just don't invite me to nothing. You think I'm busy. I want to come.
Yeah.
Like I want to be there. I thought you was on the road. Ask me.
Ask me.
I'm at home all day.
All these means of communication.
Right.
You could ask.
It's that thing, and like that keeps us grounded. Like we still call I call Ryan because I seen a meme on the internet. We'll laugh about it and end up on the phone for 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like we still just sit around and do nothing together, and that's what I love. And we can also be in rooms with the David Chappelles and all these people and still just be in there kicking it and trill. Like we don't have to pull our phones out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I say this all the time. People don't take pictures of stuff that they plan on seeing again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you don't see people in New York taking pictures of Eiffel Tower if they stay there.
Right.
I mean, of the Statue of Liberty.
I was
People-
like, man, they got a hell of a camera.
Yeah.
I was
They
gonna-
can see that far.
I was gonna say that.
But people in Paris don't take pictures of the Eiffel Tower. Like you can tell who the tourists are. You know, so like we get around these type of situations and we believe that we're supposed to be here.
Man.
Yeah. The thing with Tito will always have a special place in my heart because he believed.
Yeah.
In this game, people don't believe in you like that. Tito saw the whole thing for me from beginning to end, and then some people may be like, well, he booked a lot of people or whatever. He saw everybody. Y'all weren't there when I'm opening for Sean Jones in Columbia, South Carolina, and he's pulling up and pulling me to the side and telling me about my set and things like that whenever I first start headlining and he don't miss the show. Like I've had people I started doing comedy with that I thought was my brother, ain't never seen me, don't ever come to my shows. Tito, if I'm within a 3-state area, he pulling up. And don't tell me. Don't ask for free tickets, no nothing. Tito can get whatever from me. That's what real support looks like.
Yeah, that's respect right there.
Yeah, so it's like I love that he gave me the opportunity to do the Omega House and things of that nature, but he showed me what friendship looks like, what actual support looks like, what it looks like for somebody to believe in you and have your back through everything. So I'd do anything for Tito, man.
And the bros. Let's
And
make
the
sure
bros,
they
it's one,
extend
yeah.
that to us as well while we're around. Like anytime we go down there and do that thing, even if we just coming out to support some other. I went down there one time. I bought tickets, brought a date to support. I think you had brought Marvin back.
Yeah,
Marvin Hunter had came back that time, and I was just down there chilling, relaxing, having a good time. And I go into the bar to buy the drinks, and they didn't take my money. And I'm like, yo, no, I'm not performing tonight. I'm trying to pay. It's like, nah, you good, bro. Last time you was here, like, and it's that. You know what I mean? So it extends past just Tito.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
family.
So it's a family thing.
Look, man, if y'all got plans on Black Friday, man, scrap them. Because it's a big event. Tito, close us out, man. I don't feel right closing us out, man.
Well, once again, it's a once in a lifetime this year.
Yeah.
Because it's Black Friday on Friday the 28th, 8 o'clock at the Oasis Shrine Temple. We've got the Brian Davis Unrated Comedy Show with his friends. Myself hosting, Tito Kuntz, Janine Slaughter, female on the show. We've got T Springs right here, and we've got a jazz saxophonist by the name of Alex Milan. So we want you to come out, have a good time. Bring your family that are in town. Get them out of your house.
You're looking for something to do. This is
Bring
it.
them so they can eat our food. Clean up your house and make them come out. So we're going to have a good time. Looking forward to everybody coming out, please.
Brother.
Tickets.
If I would
tickets.
say one last thing. Tickets, go online to Eventbrite, and they can find the tickets there.
Yeah, you can go to Eventbrite, and in the search engine, just put in Ryan Davis,
Ryan
and it'll come
Davis.
up right there.
Okay.
And are y'all selling tickets at the door? A lot of people ask that
Yes.
as well.
But I tell you what.
Selling tickets at the door.
I tell you what. I'm going to give you, if you're on Facebook, DM me, Tito Kuntz, Koonce. And I didn't even get the authorization from the brothers, but if you DM me the first 10 people, I'm going to have your name at the door for free tickets. DM me.
He said,
Facebook.
I'm about
Let me
what's
go
your name
ahead.
again?
Yeah.
We got
Go ahead
it.
and tell them
I'm about to start barking.
All right, shout out to Tito Kuntz, T Springs, Ryan Davis, comedians here from the area, man. So that's so cool, man. Make sure you check out Queen City Omega's Black Friday comedy show that's happening, obviously, this Black Friday, 8 p.m. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to go now to something that happened moments before we got on the stream. So President Trump, this is a annual thing, bestowing ceremonial pardons on 2 turkeys before he flew to his private Florida resort on Tuesday, earlier today, to celebrate Thanksgiving. So in case you missed it, we want to take you back now to the White House for this ceremony.
Thank you very much, and I hope you like our new beautiful patio with matching stone to the White House. If this were grass today, you'd be sinking into the mud like they've done for many years, and you would be very unhappy. Please, thank you very much. This was a big day. It's a pardon day for a very important beast. On behalf of the First Lady and the entire Trump family, I want to wish all Americans a very, very happy Thanksgiving. It's a great time of the year, and our country is doing really well, economically like we've never done before. Today, we continue a time-honored American tradition. Well, that's a well-trained turkey. See how happy he is? In a few moments, I will grant a full, absolute, and unconditional presidential pardon to 2 handsome Thanksgiving turkeys, and this is their lucky day. This is a lucky day for them. But before going any further, I want to make an important announcement, because you remember last year, after a thorough and very rigorous investigation by Pam Bondi and all of the people at the Department of Justice, the FBI, the CIA, the White House Counsel's Office, and the Department of Everything. We have a Department of Everything. You know what that is? I think that's called the White House. Into a terrible situation caused by a man named Sleepy Joe Biden. He used an auto pen last year for the turkey's pardon. So I have the official duty to determine, and I have determined, that last year's turkey pardons are totally invalid. As are the pardons of about every other person that was pardoned other than, where's Hunter? No, Hunter's was good. That was the one pardon, Pam, that was good, right? The rest of them are all invalid. I don't know what the hell you're going to do about that, but that's, now we're going to take a little of the joking. That is a mess. But they're hereby null and void. The turkeys known as Peach and Blossom last year have been located, and they were on their way to be processed, in other words, to be killed. But I've stopped that journey, and I am officially pardoning them, and they will not be served for Thanksgiving dinner. We saved them in the nick of time. This one has plenty of time, but they were saved in the nick of time. We're thrilled to be joined today by Vice President J.D. Vance, Second Lady Usha Vance, their daughter Mirabelle, and along with Attorney General Pam Bondi, Secretaries Marco Rubio, Scott Bessent, Pete Hegseth, Brooke Rollins, Howard Lutnick, Linda McMahon, Scott Turner, Administrator Lee Zeldin, who's done a great job. A nuclear power plant gets approved in less than a week. Okay? I'm only kidding, but pretty close to that. And we have more. Where's Lee? Stand up, Lee. One of my great superstars. Thank you. It used to take 20 years before you got rejected when you put in an application. Now we're doing them in a matter of weeks, right? And that's why we have the biggest plants anywhere in the world. We're leading in AI, we're leading in everything. Our auto plants are pouring back into our country. Where do you see the jobs coming with them? But many of them are under construction, but Lee's done a great job in getting those approvals. I appreciate it very much. FBI Director Kash Patel has been very busy doing a great job. Also, thank you, Kash. Along with members of, see, you got a following, Kash. Along with members of Congress, and in particular, I want to mention Jason Smith and David Rozier. Where are those two guys? Come on, stand up, fellas. What good people. Jason knows more about the tax code than any living human being. He knows so much, we don't even want to hear about it, right? Too complicated. We're going to make it a simpler code. But we did in the great big beautiful bill, was just passed, your imprints all over that, and it's amazing. The biggest tax cuts in the history of our country for middle-income people. The biggest tax cuts in the history of our country for middle-income people, and the biggest jobs bill ever passed. And nobody thought we could get that one done. I'm glad. And we actually put 4 years, actually probably 8 or 10 years, but we put 4 years worth of material into one great big beautiful bill. So that worked out very well, and I want to thank everybody for working on it. JD, that was a great, you know, we were going to do it in small bills. We're going to have 18 bills and do it along the process. I'm glad, Scott, that we got it done, because dealing with these Democrats, I think that was all one shot. But we have it all in one great big beautiful bill. Thanks as well to the chairman of the National Turkey Federation and the CEO of Butterball. That's a big deal. Jay Jandren. Where's Jay? Thank you. Stand up, Jay. Thank you very much. Along with his wife Leslie and their 3 children, as well as the farmer who raised these 2 magnificent birds, Travis Pittman and Wayne County, North Carolina. I won Wayne County by a lot. That means you had to vote for Trump, I think. I won by 92%. I like Wayne County. They're doing all right, right? And this is like a record-setting turkey that's going to be saved. The turkeys being pardoned today go by the names of Gobble and Waddle. When I first saw their pictures, I thought we should send them, well, I shouldn't say this. I was going to call them Chuck and Nancy. But then I realized I wouldn't be pardoning them. I would never pardon those 2 people. I wouldn't pardon them. I wouldn't care what Melania told me. Darling, I think it would be a nice thing to do. I won't do it, darling. These are 2 of the largest turkeys ever presented to an American president, over 50 pounds each. It's the largest we've ever had. And those are big turkeys. Are they as good as the normal sized turkey? Better or as good? Do they tend to be a little fatty, maybe? No, he said no, he knows the turkey business. Anyway, despite their size, Secretary Kennedy has formally certified that these are the first ever Maha turkeys. I don't know if I agree with that. These are Maha. In other words, they could be fat, but they're still Maha. They've been fattened on a steady diet of grass, beef, to allow the smoothies and all of the other things that they've been eating for this occasion. This was a really big occasion. But they've eaten every fattening food that you can eat. We wanted to really make them special, and they really are. They're like record-setting. I've never seen a turkey that big before. Are they violent at all? Will they attack as I walk over? Because if they were, I'll stay right up here. But as you know, we're a tough on crime administration. We are tough on crime. You know, our border had 0 people coming in for the last 7 months, right? 0. I mean, even I find that hard to believe to me. They had millions and millions of people pour into our border, from prisons, from mental institutions, gang members, drug dealers. They poured in to our country like we were stupid people. We're not stupid people anymore. But nobody's ever seen anything. The job that they've done on the Tom Holman, Kristi Noem, the whole group, the job they've done on the border is almost like a miracle. We have, and the people that make these statistics have said 0. They've said 0 for the last 7 months. I can't, it has to be like a few people got in, but they say 0. And they're radical left Democrats to do the scoring. So I can't imagine they did that for us. The truth is, we have no people coming into our country illegally. It's an amazing statistic, and I'm very proud of it. And we have the most people working in the United States today by far than we ever had in the history of our country. So those are all good numbers. But instead of pardon, some of my more enthusiastic staffers were already drafting the paperwork to ship Gobble and Waddle straight to the terrorist confinement center in El Salvador. And even those birds don't want to be there. You know what I mean? It was a tough. I'd like to thank the president of that country. They do a rather efficient job. It's got to be the largest prison in history. I've never seen anything like it. And a lot of people are behaving. on our streets now. You know, Washington, D.C. is considered a safe zone. This was one of our most unsafe places anywhere in the United States. It is now considered a totally safe city. I won't tell you about murders. We're having murders, like a lot of murders, on a weekly basis. We haven't had a murder in 6 months. And it doesn't sound good even to say that. We haven't had a murder in 6 months, but when you are averaging 1 and even sometimes 2 a week, and you haven't had 1 in 6 months, you can walk with your family down the middle of any street, go to a restaurant, you won't get in. They're opening new restaurants all over, and it's really been a beautiful thing to see. So Washington, D.C. is now a totally safe city, and a year ago it was a criminal mess. We removed, Pam, 1,700 people, career criminals, and people that came to this city from Venezuela and many other places. They were let out of prisons and they came here. There were Tren de Aragua, a lot of Tren de Aragua, that's from Venezuela. And we got them all the hell out of our country, or they're in prisons now. Street in Washington, and you're going to be just fine. And I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank Pete Hegseth. The job you've done here is incredible. And I hear you having the same kind of success in Memphis, Tennessee. We had an even worse situation. And Memphis crime is down 64% in 3 weeks. And by the time you have 4 or 5 weeks, you're going to have it down almost where there won't be crime. And we could do that in Chicago, by the way, if they would let us. If the mayor was a low IQ person, but he should understand this is a very serious thing. You saw all the crime that took place last night, the night before. The woman with the burning, they burned the woman. They'll be talking about that now. They burned this beautiful woman riding in a train. A man was arrested 72 times. 72 times, think of that. And they'll let him out again. The liberal judges will let him out again. But we're ready to go. You know, we've been moving toward Chicago. We have a governor that thinks it's wonderful that only like 7 people were killed this week. But we are moving toward doing it. We're gonna, if crime gets, it's horrible what's happening in Chicago. We could make Chicago a safe city in a period of 4 weeks. In a period of 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, it would be totally safe. And the people of Chicago want us to go there. And if you look at the crime that's taken place in Chicago in the last 2 weeks, just take a look. It's on the front page of every newspaper. It's out of control. The mayor is incompetent, and the governor is a big fat slob. He ought to invite us in, say, please make Chicago safe. We're going to lose a great city if we don't do it quickly. Make Chicago. We'll do the same thing as we did in D.C., the same thing as we did everywhere we've gone. It's become almost instantly safe. And I want to do it in Chicago. So Governor Pritzker, if you're listening, let's get your act together. Invite us in. We're going to make your place so safe. You're not going to have these crimes that are making the newspapers and the front page of every newspaper, television story, news story. We'll make Chicago a safe place very quickly. I looked at the various cases, granting mercy, discovering that the terrible trauma that everyone's going through. And I had a little bit of a Pritzker joke. I was going to talk about Pritzker in size, but when I talk about Pritzker, I get angry because he's not letting us do the job. So I'm not going to tell my Pritzker joke. They have a very cute little joke, you know. Some speechwriter wrote some joke about his weight. But I would never want to talk about his weight. I don't talk about people being fat. I refuse to talk about the fact that he's a fat slob. I don't mention it. On a more serious note, as we gather around the dinner table, I'd like to lose a few pounds too, by the way. And I'm not going to lose it on Thanksgiving, I can tell you that. Because I'm going to have a turkey, but it's not going to be that one. I hope all Americans will have the chance to enjoy the fellowship of family and friends and renew our faith in God's providence. 1 year ago, we had a We were a dead country 1 year ago. The King of Saudi Arabia said it to me. He said it to me actually 4 months ago when I was in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. He said, you know, 1 year ago, the United States was a dead country, and now you've got the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country. We have $18 trillion being invested as of now. We're not even close to being 1 year. The most ever was $2 trillion for a certain country I won't name when during the last administration. In 4 years, they had less than $1 trillion being invested in the country. In 9 months, we have over $18 trillion. It's a number that nobody has ever even thought possible.
All right, so that is President Trump from just moments ago during a ceremonial turkey party there at the White House. We'll get back to that in just a second, but we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. James is here in studio with me. Carlene is also in studio. Thanksgiving is right around the corner. A lot of folks are traveling, flying, driving, flying. James,
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Walking, trains, all the things.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe on horse. I don't know. Maybe they got to. James, you never know. You never know.
There's
You
horse,
don't know.
there's horse people around here.
What are you talking about?
Never know.
Yeah.
I say all that to say is it's going to be a busy travel days ahead, including this evening. And look, it's already raining outside. Roads are already slick. That's why we are weather alert going into this evening. So just be safe. Take your time out there on the roads. I know you want to get to your destinations, but take your time. Let's check in with our full forecast. Let's take a listen in.
Good Tuesday. We are weather impact alert as we anticipate rounds of scattered showers and a few thunderstorms will be possible as we head to later on in the day. This isn't going to be a washout, but we do want to let you know that if you do have any travel plans, make sure to keep up to date with that forecast. If you haven't already, download that WCNC app so you can track those showers in real time. Otherwise, it's going to be a cloudy day with temperatures staying in the 60s. Futurecast showing that threat for the potential of the heaviest rain arriving late tonight tonight through the early morning hours of Wednesday. A lot of us will be sleeping, and by the time we get to daybreak on Wednesday, this will have pulled off. A wide temperature range out there. Lower 70s is what we'll do across the greater Charlotte area, but only lower 50s up towards the high country. That is because they are locked in right now with clouds and ongoing rain showers. So right now we are tracking scattered showers across the region, a few isolated rumbles of thunder possible through tonight. But next we're looking at a cold snap that will arrive by your Thanksgiving Thursday. So not anticipating any severe weather for today, more just disruptive as it is such a busy day. A lot of people headed out on the roads, so windshield wipers may be needed, disruptive travel possible. Exercise some caution if you do have to hit the roadways. Here's what that futurecast looks like as we head in the next couple of hours. Again, waves of scattered showers will continue throughout the afternoon. Notice that there are breaks in between the rain. Then here comes the heaviest rain overnight. Most of us sleeping. This occurs just after midnight across the greater Charlotte area. Brief heavy downpours will be possible. By daybreak, most of this is out of here. Can't rule out a stray shower going through the late morning. Some pockets of low clouds, patchy dense fog possible, but this will clear up pretty nicely as that cold front makes a run across the area. We'll start to filter in not only some drier air, but some cooler air from the north as well. So that first cold front going to produce that round of showers and maybe a few thunderstorms across the area, all non-severe, but the second cold front that hits, that's what's going to cool us off going into your Thanksgiving Thursday. So if you are already making your plans, well, Wednesday may start off damp, low cloudiness like I mentioned, but it is going to turn dry for the afternoon, mild and breezy, sunshine breaking out as well. By Thursday morning, that is, colder air will arrive. You'll not only feel it in the morning hours, but also the afternoon as well. Friday, heading out shopping for Black Friday, of course, it is going to be a freezing start, something that we haven't done in a couple weeks now, but we will have lots more sunshine as well. So our high temperatures today and tomorrow still going to be about 10 degrees above the average high for this time of year, which is right around 60. Lower 70s is what we'll do today and tomorrow. Notice we flip-flop below average starting Thursday, a high of only 55 degrees. Then we'll stay in the upper 40s for both Friday and Saturday, still staying below average as we go into this weekend as well. You'll notice the cool down in the morning hours, like I mentioned for Thanksgiving Thursday, headed off for a turkey trot. We'll be starting off at 37 degrees, falling to 30 degrees on Friday, and starting off a hard freeze Saturday morning of 26 degrees. Putting this all together in this Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast, we are weather impact alert again through today. We are expecting scattered showers and a few rumbles of thunder possible. Again, nothing severe expected. This will clear off pretty much by daybreak on Wednesday. May start off with clouds, sunshine, and improving conditions expected for the second half of Wednesday. Note it's going to be pretty warm, lower 70s. By Thursday, here comes the chill. A high of 55 degrees, highs in the 40s for both Friday and Saturday. We are tracking another round of showers, maybe a few thunderstorms going into your Sunday and Monday, so stay tuned for that. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's going to start feeling seasonal outside, which I don't mind. Okay, we're here. All right, again, a busy travel day the next couple of days, and even after Thanksgiving, a lot of folks headed back home. All right, so let's take a quick break as we look at this shot from Charlotte Douglas International Airport. It's definitely busy there. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturtevant. So, as we showed earlier today, President Donald Trump doing his ceremonial turkey pardon there at the White House before flying to Florida to enjoy the Thanksgiving holiday. Let's take you back now, in case you missed it. President Donald Trump.
And that's in building plants and building so many things, investments in our country. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. But we have more people working. We have more people praying. The churches are coming back. I don't know if you've been reading that story, but religion is coming back to America. Some people say, oh, why would you mention that? To me, that's a big deal. And this Thanksgiving, we're also making incredible strides to make America affordable again. Walmart announced that the cost of their standard Thanksgiving meal is 25% lower than just 1 year ago. That's a big deal. According to the USDA, the price of Thanksgiving turkey is down 33% from its Biden era highs. Potatoes are down 13%. Ham is down 15% compared to last Thanksgiving. So we are down to a level that we haven't seen in a long time. Egg prices are down 86% since March, and gasoline will soon be hovering around $2 a gallon. Under our leadership, we passed the largest tax cuts in history, the largest spending cuts in history, the largest regulation cuts in history, and we have fully secured our southern border. I've also ended 8 wars in 9 months, and we're working on that final war. It's not easy, but I don't know. I think we're going to get there. 25,000 soldiers, Ukraine, Russia. In the last month, 25,000 soldiers have died. So I think we're getting very close to a deal. We'll find out. I thought that one would have been gone quicker. We did 8. I thought that would have been an easier one, but I think we're making progress. In less than 1 year, we've accomplished more than most other administrations have accomplished in 8 years. And this is a very special Thanksgiving. We thank God for His many blessings and the great success that this country has seen in a short period of time. We draw strength from the love of family and friends, and we express our undying gratitude for the men and the women of the United States Armed Forces. We love them. We pray that peace and prosperity will continue to bless our land, and together we'll really just keep this great drive going to make America great again. MAGA, I think it's the greatest expression in the history of politics. Make America great again. So once again, Melania, thank you for doing such a great job and being such a great First Lady. And now let's go and give Gobble, Waddle. Waddle, by the way, is missing in action, but that's okay. We'll pretend Waddle is here. The gift that they've been waiting for. And I'll move over and I will just say very nicely, Gobble, your pardon. Come on, let's say it in front of Gobble. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, so that is President Donald Trump from moments ago there at the White House during that ceremonial turkey pardon. This is an annual tradition there, so that took place. We wanted to take you back there in case you missed it. All right, so on the left side of your screen, bottom right, you're taking a live look at Charlotte Douglas International Airport. The holiday rush is on. Holiday travel rush is on there. Above that, snowfall in the high country west of Denver, Colorado. Man, it is beautiful up there. Great views, great way to bring in the holiday. All right, so let's shift gears. Let's come back here at home. We want to update you on a deadly crash in Concord. So right now, as far as we know, a suspect still wanted after pursuit ends in a deadly crash. George Lyles Parkway was closed in both directions during the investigation, but shortly reopened early yesterday morning, I should say. Let's send it out to Bria Smith, who was following up on this story. Bria, what can you tell us?
Yeah, so we actually had the chance to speak with some people who live in this area, work, play. There's a lot of plazas, restaurants, stores, everything here on George Liles Parkway. So a lot of activity up and down this highway here. And we spoke to people who, utilize these facilities, these places day in and day out. They say that they don't really see many crashes. They think that traffic is it flows pretty well. However, they're just shocked to hear that something like this happened. Their emphasis was more on the pursuit itself, that in an area like this that is so busy, that does have heavy traffic, whether it's in the morning time, nighttime, or even, that evening rush hour there, that maybe if it's not something, that is super urgent to not pursue at such a high speed. I believe the suspect was going at least 100 miles per hour when he collided with that Cadillac that was stationary. So they just had some, concerns in that regard, but it's not something that they see often.
All right, so that is Bria Smith with the latest there on that crash. You can catch her at 4 and 5 o'clock this evening. Bria, thank you for your time.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, so we want to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. So we want to get now to a press conference that we were keeping an eye on from earlier. So just to kind of give you some context into this. So a new bill will now head to Congress to prevent women from being turned away or sent home from a hospital when in active labor, after a video circulated of a black woman in pain at an Indiana hospital. She was told to go home and give birth in her truck, and she gave birth in her truck just minutes later. Representative Robin Kelly, Democrat out of Illinois, announcing the WELS Act, or the Women Expansion for Learning and Labor Safety Act. She announced this during a press conference on Tuesday after Mercedes Wells gave birth to her fourth child in her car earlier this month. NBC confirmed that. I'm reading this information from NBC. So in case you missed it, we want to take you now to that press conference.
Sharing their story. It takes a lot of courage to speak out and push for a change. A week after she gave birth to her 4th child in a truck, she's here to share her story and make sure no other mother experiences the same pain. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mercedes. Thank you, Leon. Your strength knows no bounds. Mercedes' courage propelled me to introduce new legislation to protect all moms. When I am back in D.C., I plan to introduce the new WELLS Act, named after Mercedes. The WELLS Act stands for the Women Expansion for Learning and Labor Safety. The WELLS Act aims to address systemic issues around maternal care, racial disparities, and hospital accountability. Specifically, it urges hospitals to develop and implement a safe discharge labor plan that includes clinical justification for discharge and patient understanding. Healthcare is a two-way street where the patient is heard and listened to, which is why the WELLS Act also includes racial bias training. It's clear that Mercedes' story isn't an isolated incident. This is not a Franciscan health problem, but rather a systemic issue. Our healthcare system is broken. Black women across the country are suffering and dying. Today, I'm also reintroducing my Care for Moms Act because Black women and Black moms deserve better. This comprehensive legislation supports and provides the resources moms and babies need to thrive. The Care for Moms Act builds upon key provisions that were passed in my original Mamas Act because, frankly, we still have more work to do. I've been working to improve maternal health outcomes for almost 10 years in Congress. When I was first elected, a constituent called me and said, "I have a story to tell you." Her friend's daughter-in-law gave birth to a beautiful baby, but she did not survive to raise her child. After I heard her story, I got to work and fulfilled my promises to mothers across the country. After I heard Mercedes' story, I continued to work. We have heard from too many Black women whose pain is ignored, dismissed, and discharged. It doesn't matter if she's famous, wealthy, educated, or where she lives. If she's Black, she is more likely to have worse health outcomes. I will keep up the fight until every woman, no matter her color of her skin, receives the care she needs and deserves. Now it is my honor, my deep honor, to introduce Mercedes Wells.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Kelly. Robin Kelly has definitely paved the way for us to speak up for ourselves, and I'm glad to have her here with me, and obviously that's why I'm here to support her and what she's trying to do and the change she's trying to make because we're on the same page. Just the situation that happened, the event that happened on 11/16/25, with me having to have my baby on the side of the road, shouldn't happen to any woman. My husband, thank God he was there with me after being kicked out of the hospital, begging to stay but still being pushed away, was hurtful, disgraceful. I felt unheard. I felt ignored. I felt treated less than human. And no one should have to go through that. And no one should be able to turn a woman that's in pain, in agony, and that's begging to be cared for with basic care and be able to lay in a comfortable bed while delivering my child, pushed out of that to having to sit upright and deliver my baby in the car with my husband's assistance. We felt all alone. It was a cold morning. Didn't get a chance to warm the truck up. We didn't get a chance to make sure our baby was okay with medical help, medical care, medical professionals. We were all by ourselves on the side of an expressway. After my water broke in the hospital, the nurse ignored that. After my contractions began to be back to back to back, the nurse ignored that. The doctor on call, I never seen. The doctor never came to assess me, speak to me. I was treated as if I was not wanted there. And my husband encouraged me that it's okay. We have God with us. Let's go somewhere that we're wanted and can be cared for. Unfortunately, we were not able to make it to the next hospital. But God was with us the entire time. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my husband and him being able to listen to the Holy Spirit and give him guidance. If it wasn't for him, just want to thank him and let him speak a little bit about what he feels and what he experienced on that day.
Thank you.
Leon Wells, my husband, my partner, my best friend.
Yes, indeed. It was a very hard, scary moment for us. To see my wife in this pain and not being treated fair was very tough for me to stand by and not lose my cool. I didn't give them what they wanted. And I had a mission at hand to make sure my wife and my baby was safe. And I just want to thank Congressman Kelly to what she's doing for us and the changes that's going to be made. Thank you.
You guys good?
Yeah.
We can take any questions that you have, if anyone has questions. And I just want to thank both of you again for your courage and your bravery. You didn't have to do this, but you care about the next person, and that's why you're doing it. So thank you.
I have a question. Hi, my name is Samantha with the Chicago Sun-Times. Mercedes, do you mind telling me, since the birth of your daughter, what has been kind of the biggest challenge since then with everything that you've kind of been going through?
Worrying about if I'm medically healthy after everything, the trauma and everything. When it comes to, my body being through such a traumatic experience, it's just concerning because I did have to go back to the hospital with pains I never experienced before. So that's a concern for me. Also, just being able to get through it mentally is a challenge. I think back on things and sometimes, it's hard to deal with sometimes mentally, emotionally. I'm really emotional, truly. It's an emotional roller coaster. And I push through it as much as possible just so I can fight for a change, make things different. Make sure no other woman, no other black and brown woman have to deal with such, disdain and, such, it was really mean. They were so cold, the staff at that hospital. They were so cold towards me and my family. So I don't want anyone to have to experience that during a time they should be happy and overjoyed bringing a life into this world.
Your story has shocked a lot of people. Is there a message that you would want to give to other expecting mothers?
I would say just make sure your support system is with you when you're going to deliver. If you go to a hospital to deliver your child, make sure you have the right people with you.
Thank you.
How's the baby?
The baby is doing good. Alina is doing good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, you guys good?
Yeah.
Thank you guys so very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so that was that press conference from moments ago. Again, a new bill heading to Congress to prevent women from being turned away or sent home from a hospital while in active labor after a video circulated of a black woman in pain. You just heard from, her name is Mercedes Wells. This happened at a hospital in Indiana where she was told to go home and then later gave birth in her truck just minutes ago. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. You're taking a live look there at Charlotte Douglas Airport. A busy day because a lot of folks are flying out. This is today where a lot of folks, I'm not saying tomorrow it's not going to be busy, but today definitely busy. One of the first busy days there at the airport where folks are flying out to get to their destinations. Thanksgiving is just a couple of days away. Folks are looking to go home, looking to visit family members, maybe vacation on Thanksgiving. I've heard of that before. Not a wild idea. I understand. Sometimes you need a vacation from the holiday. So that is what it looks like there at Charlotte Douglas International Airport. So earlier, with the holiday travel season kicking off, we heard from American Airlines. They answered questions about operations there at Charlotte Douglas Airport. Let's take a listen in.
You good when everybody else is? Roger.
Alrighty. Let's get your first and last name.
Okay, Ralph Lopez Mazas. You need it spelled as well. RALPH LOPEZ MASSAS.
Started a busy travel weekend. How's it going so far, and what do you expect the next?
Well, it's going incredibly well. We know at American Airlines that every flight is important, but we realize that for the holiday travel season, it takes a whole different meaning to travel, and American Airlines is ready to care for our customers during the holiday travel season. American Airlines has its second largest hub in Charlotte. We take great pride in giving access to our customers to over 170 unique destinations in 27 countries and over 670 daily peak departures. That is going to give our customers unmatched access to destinations and flights, and more so than in any other airport or across our network. This travel season, our customers can have incredible confidence in our team. We're expecting just in Charlotte over 8,000 flights, and that's a part of 81,000 flights across our network. That will make our operation the largest operation of any commercial carrier worldwide, and our customers can expect unmatched commitment and service from our team.
And I guess 2 weeks ago, were you worried about how things were going to pan out in travel season with the shutdown and everything? You're probably glad it didn't work out in the worst case scenario.
Sure. So we're extremely happy that the FAA mandated flight disruptions are now behind us. During that period, American took all the necessary steps to mitigate the impact to travel for our customers. I do want to recognize the work of our team to care for our customers during those weeks of uncertainty, and also the teams at the Federal Administration, Aviation Administration, our TSA colleagues, Customs and Border Patrol. They all helped us keep this hub moving and our airline moving, and we're incredibly appreciative. Now with that behind us and the work that our team did, which I should highlight that American led the way in the recovery during these disruptions, and with the actions taken, it's leading to a great travel holiday season for our customers and giving much needed confidence during holiday travel plans.
What message do you have for passengers who they kind of waited, they put off their travel reservations, not sure about things, about delays or disruptions or the ATC shortage? What word do you have for them? Yeah, it's okay, come on and fly with us. Is it too late to make our travel reservations for Thanksgiving?
It's never too late to get out and travel. Our team at American took all the necessary steps to protect and help mitigate the impact to our customers. We led the recovery during the travel holiday disruptions, during the earlier weeks of travel disruption. And that should give our customers incredible confidence. And certainly now with those mandated disruptions from the FAA behind us, our customers could have assurance that we are ready to take care of them and get them to their loved ones, to their Thanksgiving table, or to their favorite holiday travel spot during the upcoming travel season.
Is this the busiest season for you all, and how do efforts look different this time of year than any other?
So Thanksgiving is one of the busiest travel periods of the year, and from our flight crews to our customer service agents to our technical operations team caring for our fleet, it's all hands on deck. We prepare for holiday periods like this for an entire year to make sure our fleet is ready, our schedule is optimized to be reliable for our customers, coordination with all of our stakeholders that support our industry, CLT Airport, our colleagues at the TSA, FAA. It's a massive effort to ensure that our customers are safely and reliably taken care of during their journey.
The use of wheelchairs, strollers, baggage carts, walkers, and pets
you're
are
welcome.
strictly prohibited
Excellent.
on moving walkways
All right.
and escalators.
Now the real work begins.
As he said, now the real work begins, because it's going to be busy. Let's take a live look at Charlotte Douglas International Airport. Again, a lot of folks there. I know we say this all the time, but make sure you double check your boarding pass. Make sure you get there in enough time so you're not rushing. Gone are the days of Home Alone. Long gone are the days of Home Alone where you could just walk into the airport and run straight to your gate.
It's true.
You can't do that. You haven't been able to do that for a while, but I just want to remind folks in case you forgot. James, you're tracking the skies as well. What are you tracking?
It's not too terrible outside. Here's a look at radar right now. A couple of showers, which might be shocking because we haven't seen rain in a while. But the line that came through around lunchtime today, a little windy at times, Nick, did bring us some rain, but wasn't nearly as strong as that same line as it came across portions of the Deep South yesterday, Texas, Atlanta. So, you know what? We'll take a little bit of this little drizzle here. You might just run into it, bring down visibility a little bit. A little north of the city right now. Looks like it's heaviest right now north of the city, I-77, Iredell County, maybe down towards the upstate of South Carolina, but nothing that's going to really mess you up.
And we're weather alert this evening. I think that window is pretty rather large, right, throughout the evening.
Yeah, as you look at the airport, you can see what the pilots would probably call low ceilings. The rest of us would just call cloudy, right? So, that might slow them down a little bit, might slow you down a little bit on the road, leave extra travel distance. And but otherwise, checking in right now, as they just said in that briefing, Nick, no staffing problems at the FAA. Things seem to be back to normal, knock on wood.
Yeah.
And we're not seeing any major delays right now at any of the airports for any rhyme or reason. So that's good news.
I love good news. All right, let's take a break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. You're taking a live look there in Mooresville because the 81st annual Mooresville Christmas Parade is almost ready to kick off. See some folks getting in place. They have umbrellas in hand. This is along Main Street in downtown Mooresville. It's presented by Greenworks. This year's edition of the parade will have a special grand entrance with plenty of flashing lights and sirens, as well as area first responders to kick off the festive event. Again, it kicks off in about 30 minutes here. Exciting stuff. A good way, if you're not at work or not at school, to bring in the holiday. What a way to bring in Thanksgiving, a couple of days out from Thanksgiving. But you see the folks, umbrella in hand, jackets, chairs, they are ready. They're good to go. You see, I wave back. I know you can't see me waving back at you, but a guy waved at the camera, so I waved at him. Again, Mooresville Christmas Parade set to kick off in just about 30 minutes.
And then I guess Santa's got to go from this parade to New York City for Macy's tomorrow. Busy man.
I'm a busy man. I'm saying.
Oh, you're Saint Nick.
I'm saying Nick.
That took me a second. I was like, what?
I was wondering if you're going to catch it, but as James alluded to, Saint Nick is busy, quite busy around this time, don't you say? All right, so the holidays. I know you want to go to a parade, you want to enjoy the festivities. The holidays means folks are going to be out shopping, traveling, taking advantage of some deals. So earlier today, we got a chance to speak with Juliana O'Rourke with the Better Business Bureau, a good friend with the Better Business Bureau, with some tips on how to protect your finances as we approach Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday, and just whatever travel deals that may pop across your feed. Let's take a listen in to what some of that good advice from Juliana O'Rourke from the Better Business Bureau.
Coming up at 9:30 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal as we are approaching the thick of things when it comes to the holidays and holiday shopping. Millions of Americans are gearing up for Cyber Monday as well as, did you hear? Travel Tuesday. There are deals to be had on your travel still. So the Better Business Bureau is warning folks about wanting to stay vigilant against online scammers or even, in-person scammers, because these fraudsters are waiting to prey on us, aren't they? Juliana O'Rourke is here at the Live Impact studio right now with how people can protect themselves from these fraudsters, these scammers, while taking advantage of some really great sales, Juliana.
Yeah, so we know Black Friday is almost here, followed by Cyber Monday. And yes, as you mentioned, there will be lots of really great deals. I think the deals have even started already. I saw
it's all
Amazon,
pre-Friday.
the
pre-Black Friday, whatever that means.
And also because the way that Thanksgiving falls this year, it's later.
Late, yeah.
So there's less time in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, so retailers are like, wait a minute, we're going to start these sales early. And so, yeah, we have some really great tips as far as how to sort of keep yourself safe on Cyber Monday, which first and foremost, we talk about it all the time, but anytime you're shopping online, you want to be extra vigilant, especially if you're getting served ads on social media. So that is a place that scammers really like to hang out. They really like to serve these ads that are obviously fake on social media, but they look real. They look very close to the product that they're selling. So a couple ways that you can tell, are there grammatical errors? Are there spelling errors? Are the deals too good to be true, right? So we know there's going to be a lot of popular toys. There's a lot of popular items in general. And if you're not able to find those at a really great price, and all of a sudden you see an ad on social media claiming, hey, we have it for this incredible deal, you want to be really careful and do some research outside of that social media platform. So see if you can just Google search the company, what's the deal on the product, type in the word, type in the company name followed by scam, type in the company name followed by customer review, see what other people are saying. We all know that, a lot of people go to the internet to leave reviews when they're either really satisfied or really upset. And so you should be able to pretty easily tell whether or not something on social media is legit.
And if you really had your eye on something for a while, the price is only going to fluctuate so much.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So what other kinds of scams are targeting online shoppers?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them. Phishing in general, people just looking to get your information. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what scammers want. They want your personal information to do identity theft, or they're looking for your financial information to, of course, steal your funds. So you just want to be extra careful. Maybe make a list of the things you're looking for. Do that research in advance to see where am I seeing good deals. You know, compare what you're seeing on Black Friday to potentially on Cyber Monday. See which date is going to be a better deal, but also you can also research to see what are the prices now, and then when companies do say that they're having these really great sales, if the product falls within that limit of sale, see exactly what that sale is, because basically if a company could potentially increase the original price of something and then put it on sale and say, oh, now it's 20% off. In reality, it's not really 20% off because they increased that original price. So you just really want to pay attention and do the research in advance as well as the day of to understand and really know what you're paying for. Are you getting a deal or not? And is it the product you actually want?
Tricks.
Yes, exactly.
All the tricks.
Yeah.
There's a slight difference. Yeah, I know you've warned to look at that HTTP versus HTTPS.
Yes. So the difference is HTTPS means it's a secure site. There's going to be a little lock symbol in that URL bar, and so you can feel more comfortable shopping on an HTTPS site versus one that's just HTTP.
All right. Buy now, pay later. This is a trend that keeps on coming up. It's become really popular.
Yes.
Like an elevated layaway.
Exactly. So layaway, right?
Remember layaway?
I remember that as a kid, but the buy now, pay later, it can be great for some people, but you want to be very careful with that, because if you don't make those payments on time, they're going to be followed with a lot of interest. You could dig yourself into a hole that you don't really mean to dig yourself into, and so there's a lot of companies that offer that. You just want to be very careful, read the fine print, understand what you're signing up for, if it's something you're wanting to take advantage of. Again, just make sure you know exactly what you're signing for, and what they're going to expect you. What is that repayment schedule, if you will? How quickly do you have to pay it off? Are they going to charge you any interest, within the first few months? Does it take a couple months before that kicks in? When it does kick in, what is that percentage? Is it a percentage on what you haven't paid? Is it a percentage on the total amount that you had decided to pay? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it when you start thinking about that. So if you don't have to, take advantage of the buy now, pay later, maybe just pay now. But if you need that little extra wiggle room, just be very diligent on when you're going to make those payments.
All right. When it comes to so you ordered the things.
Yes.
And porch piracy is the next concern after getting your good deal on Cyber Monday. This is still a spike, especially around this time, right?
Exactly. Oh, it's very big this time of year. People know that we're all ordering online. I actually think I saw on the Today Show there was a big ring busted, they mentioned this morning, of porch piracy that's been happening. And
goodness.
So basically you just want to really pay attention to the tracking and the shipping for when your product's going to be delivered. And cameras are great. It's nice to have that. If you know that you can be home when something's going to be delivered, that's even better. If something's delivered, maybe you could have a neighbor pick it off the porch for you so it's not sitting there all day long, or try to schedule it so that maybe somebody has to sign for it, or just at a time when you know you're actually going to be home so that nobody has a chance to take that off your porch before you can get to it.
All right, very good. Let's talk about the next day. So
Yes.
you did whatever money you didn't spend on Monday, Travel Tuesday is the next day. But deals are to be had.
Yeah.
So what should travels watch out for then when it comes to Travel Tuesday?
Yeah, so Travel Tuesday is when there's going to be a lot of great deals from airlines, hotels,
All right, some good advice there from Juliana O'Rourke with the Better Business Bureau there. You can catch that full interview on our digital platforms. But we're going to go now to a meeting that's happening live. So Mecklenburg County leaders are talking about Arena's Law, named after Arena Zaruska, the young woman who was stabbed on the Charlotte light rail. And they're talking about the impacts of this now law and what it could mean. Let's take a listen in to what's being said.
The members of my team at CJS who are also joining us today. In the room, I have James Owens, who is the Pretrial Services Manager, Kasha Kianchuk, who is the Research and Planning Manager. I also have our Management Analyst, Calvin Johnson, and Shannon Messer with the Research and Planning Unit also present this afternoon. So I appreciate members of my team being here today. As Manager Bryant had indicated, I am here this afternoon to give you an overview on House Bill 307, which is also known as Arena's Law, and here this afternoon to speak to you about the local impacts of the implementation of this piece of legislation. So just to give you a bit of a high, kind of an overlook here of just the primary components of the bill, and I'm sure that some of you have seen the components of this in the press over the last couple of months. But the bulk of this piece of legislation does go into effect on December 1st, so that of course being this upcoming Monday. HB 307 makes a number of changes to pretrial release proceedings. It also adds a new aggravating sentence factor. It alters the way in which magistrates may be disciplined, and it also expands permissible methods of execution in the state. There are also a few other provisions with this. It also amends the procedures for involuntary commitments and how those are imposed and carried out. And then the other piece that's significant for Mecklenburg County is it does provide funding for 10 new full-time assistant district attorneys, and as well as 5 full-time legal assistants, and those positions are retroactive to July 1st of 25. The funding is attached to those positions, so total amount for the ADAs is coming in at a little over $1.6 million, and then total cost, recurring and non-recurring for the legal assistants, puts us in at a little over $450,000. And again, those positions are retroactive to July 1st of this year. One of the other pieces here with HB 307 is it does create a new category of violent offenses. And so under this piece of legislation, it does define that any Class A through G felony that includes assaults, the use of physical force, the threat of physical force are essential elements to this offense. It also has very kind of clear language as that any felony offense that would require registration as a sex offender is also now considered a violent offense under this legislation. And then it also includes language there that any attempts to commit any listed violent offense also falls into this new violent offense category. So in essence, it's really just kind of broadening that definition. What you also find in HB 307 is some very specific language that calls out offenses tied to other pieces of statute here in North Carolina. And so what I have here is just a list here of some of those offenses that are identified in various statutes. Again, a lot of these do already fall through the A through G categories. So again, they've always been considered to be violent offenses. But again, I just wanted to point out that this legislation does call out some specific offenses. The big piece here that will be a major impact to here in Mecklenburg County, particularly to criminal justice services, is the section pertaining to pretrial release. This here will also have a pretty significant impact on our other partners, particularly those at our magistrates, also with law enforcement, any of those folks that are involved in the pretrial process for an arrest. The language here, first, also, it identifies that an arresting law enforcement, a pretrial services program, or a district attorney must provide a criminal history for a judicial defendant. I will say for us at CJS, the work that we conduct already in this space is currently we conduct public safety assessments as well as run criminal records for each person who is booked into the Mecklenburg County Jail. So we fully intend to continue providing those records and the public safety assessments, again, for those booked into the jail. But this does expand and, again, requires that record to be run for each person who is arrested and presented at an arrest processing center. It also includes here, when that record is produced, it does require that a judicial official consider the full criminal history, not just the convictions, when they're setting conditions of pretrial release. And so again, that language there is a bit different. There is also a provision in HB 307 when considering pretrial release conditions. It does indicate that a judicial official must also consider a defendant's housing situation as part of those considerations for release. A couple of other highlights that are tied to the pretrial release, change in pretrial release proceedings is, again, this legislation, it does eliminate the written promise to appear. There had been quite a bit of language out in the media talking about, cashless bail. North Carolina, we've never really had cashless bail in our state, but written promise to appear is also in a lot of states referred to being released on your own recognizances. And so under this, effective on December 1st, that will no longer be an option here in North Carolina. The other changes here is it does not permit for the imposition of unsecured bonds or custody releases for any defendant charged with a violent offense. And so again, as on the previous slide, those offenses that fall there under this new violent offense category. It also has a provision there for those that have been convicted of 3 or more offenses in the previous year, that again, an unsecured bond is not an option there. And the language in this legislation does indicate that if a judicial official does indicate that pretrial release conditions would be appropriate, the statute now indicates that a judicial official must enter a written finding of fact. So again, just indicating those factors as to why they believe release would be appropriate. One of the provisions, though, also within the legislation, it does have language there that indicates that pretrial supervision programming is still an option in jurisdictions where that is available. And so again, here in Mecklenburg County, again in our pretrial services unit, that is one of the functions of our team. So going back to the violent offenses that were listed earlier, there's also some very specific language there tied to pretrial release options for, again, violent offenses. The language there does include rebuttable presumptions against pretrial release for defendants charged with those violent offenses. So again, sort of the idea there is that if you are charged with a certain offense, that you are then automatically considered to be a risk to public safety and potentially a flight risk. And so again, sort of the provisions here really kind of are requiring folks charged with certain offenses to bypass initial appearance and then automatically be booked into the jail. And so again, there's a lot of heavy focus on those violent offenses there. The language does include, once again, that if a judicial official decides to allow pretrial release or that pretrial release is authorized, again, that judicial official is required to enter a written finding of fact. And so, and it's our understanding that, the AOC is working on some forms and language and stuff for that new finding of fact form. But again, for these violent offenses, if pretrial release is authorized, the statute does indicate that either a secure bond or house arrest must be imposed in those cases. So I want to spend just, kind of a few minutes to give you sort of a high-level overview or what are going to be some of the local impacts. What are we expecting to occur once December 1st it gets here? So I think the first thing is again, with the violent offenses and again, those requirements with certain offenses for folks to bypass initial appearance and be required to be booked into the jail, we are in fact expecting increased volume at the Arrest Processing Center, or at AP. Attached to this, obviously, is going to increase workloads in a few different spaces. There at Arrest Processing, we would expect increases in the magistrate workload. There are also some requirements with criminal record checks and things that will also come into effect with magistrates, which again are just additional steps within the process. Also kind of tied to that, we are expecting longer delays at the Arrest Processing Center for law enforcement officers. So again, just with that increased volume, it's going to take our officers longer to have cases processed, arrest processed there at AP. For us at CJS, this also will increase our workload. So again, as I mentioned earlier, we do produce public safety assessments and criminal records for each person booked into the jail. Again, with the increased volume and the increased number of bookings into the jail, that increases the number of public safety assessments that we will be required to complete. I will share with you for FY25, we completed over 12,000 public safety assessments and ran over 12,000 criminal records. So again, this will increase our volume. And I will say just kind of one of the other things that with this is because of how broad some of the language is in here, it's really making it difficult for us to quantify what the impact will be, particularly that language about, the 3 offenses within 10 years. So For us right now, we do anticipate an influx, but it's hard for us, again, to really kind of accurately project how large that influx will be. Also with this here, we do anticipate an increase in the jail population. I believe most of all of you do receive the jail report from CJS each day. So, I mean, right now our jail is at functional capacity. If you're not receiving our jail report, we can certainly add you to there. But right now our jail is at functional capacity. And so again, there are some concerns about, the influx and the increased number of folks that, again, with there being that requirement that some folks are going to have to bypass initial appearance and be booked into the jail, again, that is we are anticipating the jail numbers to rise even further. Some of the other impacts as far as, local justice system are concerned, this here, again, whenever jail bookings increase, that also increases the size of our first appearance dockets. So again, once a person is booked into the jail, they will have their first appearance before a district court judge. And so again, we are expecting the size of those dockets to increase. So again, that right there will increase the overall court workload. The other provision here that requires house arrest in certain instances will also increase the number of persons being required to be placed on an electronic monitor. Here in Mecklenburg County, the CMPD is the provider of electronic monitoring. According, to their leadership there, they are a bit concerned about this as well because, again, based on their current capacity for monitors, they are pretty close to that capacity already. And so, again, it's, again, hard for us to really kind of quantify the
All right,
overall.
so that is a look at what Mecklenburg County leaders are talking about and officials are talking about as far as Arena's law and the impact of that law. We're going to get back to that in just a few moments, but first we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in just 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Let's go back now to a meeting that's happening with Mecklenburg County officials to talk about the impacts of Arena's law. Let's take a listen in.
Proceedings in certain instances. The other pieces attached to this IVC section is it does require a defendant to receive an initial examination by a commitment examiner to determine grounds to petition an IVC. I think, again, the other piece about this part being delayed is that gives us some time to determine exactly how many examiners we will have available in Mecklenburg County to be able to conduct this piece. I will share with you within CJS, within our forensic evaluations unit, we do have 4 individuals who meet that qualification to serve as a commitment examiner. But again, we'll need to really sort of do a scan of the environment to determine the number of examiners there, and also the number that would be willing to work with, folks that are justice involved. The other piece here also indicates that arresting officer must transport the defendant to a facility for that initial examination. And so again, that's extra burden on our law enforcement officers who will be required to transport folks that fall within this category to a facility. And so for the most part, those would be hospital emergency departments, crisis facilities. We're really trying to kind of dig in a bit there to get some clarification as to whether our forensics unit at CJS will be able to do some of those to sort of alleviate some of the overall kind of pressure on the system. So again, it's good that we still have some time to work on this piece here. And then also in here, it does have language again that the commitment examiner must either petition for an IVC or provide a written notice to the court that there's no grounds for the petition. And so again, this is just adding, it's adding to just the available capacity within not only in Mecklenburg County but across the state. So, but again, I can assure you that the partners we will be spending our time over the next year to really kind of try to prepare for this as best that we can. But also attached to this, I just also wanted to share that one of the things that there is still kind of conversation now that's occurring with this, and one thing that we're monitoring closely, both myself and then also Lisette Nimmons, is the House Select Committee on Involuntary Commitment and Public Safety. And so this committee, again, they've had their first meeting about 2 weeks ago. Their next meeting is set for about mid-December, but they're really, having some conversation about the IVC process. I will share from the meeting they had a couple of weeks ago, there were a lot of, professionals and academics who were able to come in and speak to members of the House about the process. But at the same time, there were also folks there who have had direct experience with the IVC process, like in their professional capacity or previous professional capacities. And so, there was a real good mix of conversation about, again, what's on the books and how things are actually applied. So we're going to continue to monitor that to see if there are, in fact, any sort of recommendations for change that may come before December of 26 on this section. But Representatives Hugh Blackwell and Timothy Reeder are the individuals who are co-chairing that select committee. All right. And I will stop there if there are any questions.
Colleagues, we're going to listen to all the presentations and then take questions at the end. So. That was state representatives.
Give you a little bit of space there. All right.
First of all, thank you all for having us. I want to first recognize the key court officials that are here. And on the front row is Sheriff Gary McFadden is with us today. On the back row, we have our clerk of court, the Honorable Alicia Chin Gary is with us today. Next to her is our trial court administrator, Casey Calloway. I also see DA Spencer Merriweather, and then kind of hidden over there is our public defender, Kevin Tully. And we meet monthly, and we have discussed this law and its impacts in some detail, along with other details we discuss on a monthly basis. I have a handout with you that I gave you, and I will tell you I'm going to have to pivot. Ms. Harper did a wonderful job of outlining the law, which I was planning to do. But I do think there's things I can highlight about things that I see as impacts on our court system. First of all, let me say that we have met with our judges, the magistrates. I've met with my lead magistrates, and the lead magistrates are meeting with their folks. We feel prepared for Monday. Now, when we say that, there's probably obviously going to be some hurdles along the way that we have to adjust to as we kind of roll into this new law on Monday. As for us in the court system, we do our first appearance. First is going to be Monday morning. The magistrate's office starts 12:01 a.m. on Sunday night. So it all starts for them there. A couple of things I want to highlight after Ms. Harper's presentation, however, are some of the key provisions that are major, that I see as major changes that can potentially have impact on the county. One of which she's obviously touched on is the increase in jail population, which is definitely going to be affected by the elimination of a written promise to appear, or what used to be called release on your own recognizance. Basically, that's just been eliminated by the law. That's not an option anymore. There has to be some sort of either secured bond or unsecured bond, depending on the case. As Ms. Harper indicated, there's certain offenses that secured bonds or there's unsecured bond is no longer an option, particularly those that are considered violent offenses. And I think that the slide she had referenced 15A 533 or 531 that defines the violent offenses. That increases some things to that level, some misdemeanors that were not on that list to start with, including stalking, and things related specifically to domestic violence, such as breaking and entering with intent to terrorize or injure the occupants therein. Most of these felonies, if you look at the old 15A 533B1, were the judge had discretion. The first appearance judge had discretion for instance, on a murder charge or a shooting an occupied property charge or any of those charges that are listed under those violent offenses, most of them, that gave the judge discretion to hold someone without bond. And there wasn't really any findings that the judge has to make on that. That's changed, and Ms. Harper emphasized this, that there is now a presumption in place for those violent felonies, the A through G, and what's been defined as violent felonies, that there are no conditions of release that can assure the safety of the community or the flight or the return of the defendant to court. And so there's now a presumption, but it's rebuttable. I see Mr. Tully's here, and that's going to be a very difficult position for someone who's first arrested to rebut a presumption a day or two after they're arrested to present that presumption. That may be something that has to be addressed later on. I'm not sure. I'm not saying it can't be done, but I think it does. That's something that I think is going to cause an increase in our jail population, that there's, instead of setting, for instance, let's say someone comes in on a first-degree arson case, instead of setting what would typically be a secured bond, even sometimes a high-dollar secured bond to assure their condition, there's now presumed that no amount of money or no conditions of release will protect the public in that situation. It's presumed. Again, it's rebuttable, and it has to be rebutted by the defense. And again, at first appearance, we're fortunate here. We have the public defender comes into, we have the public defender's office in first appearance. A lot of jurisdictions don't have that. However, in their defense, our assistant PDs and PDs will not have an opportunity to meet with each of those clients prior to court to be able to address those matters. So I think that's going to be a significant impact. I think a couple of other significant impacts that we see are that when a judge does make a decision that pretrial release conditions are appropriate, it is required that written findings must be made. In the past, if you unsecured someone's bond or let someone out on pretrial conditions, the opposite was true. You are to make written findings on a secured bond. But now in addition to that, we're to make additional findings explaining why release is appropriate based on the factors that were put out. And that is required. And the failure to do so, particularly for magistrates, Ms. Harper emphasized this, it creates a new failure to do those written findings is a basis for suspension of a magistrate, and it gives the Chief Justice the power to initiate that proceeding, which used to be solely the purview of the Chief District Court Judge. And so that changes that procedure. Another additional, I think, highlight that she touched on, I think it's important to talk about, and this is going to affect a lot of misdemeanor cases, more so than just felonies. If there's 3 convictions of a Class 1 misdemeanor or higher within 10 years, there must be a secured bond, and it may require electronic monitoring. We've already talked about the potential increase of electronic monitoring and its impact on CMPD and the resources available and what would happen if those resources are extended. My understanding is there's going to be some responsibility on the county if CMPD uses all of their resources that they have for those. So those written findings requirements are important for judges, they're important for legislatures, and the failure to do so could potentially be a problem, particularly for the magistrates that could possibly face removal by the Chief Justice. As far as the mental health provisions go, those are, for right or wrong, it's going to make our transition a little more eases a little more. We're going to be able to move into it a little more smoothly, ease into that a little bit without that provision. That provision may be important to the safety of the community, but as far as just preparing for this, it does give us a little bit of leeway to move into, to adjust to the new provisions without having to adapt to that. I do think that those matters are still optional for law enforcement and for magistrates and judges to do. It's just not required at this time. Another big impact that Ms. Harper touched upon is the review, which is important, and we get criminal histories in court. We can ask for them. I know as a judge, I'm one of our first appearance judges. I often, if the pretrial services does a good job of providing us with information, but sometimes based on time and the limitations that they have, we don't always have them. The DAs are able to provide, the ADAs are able to provide the criminal histories. However, it is now required that we review those, and again, we typically review convictions. Now we're supposed to review the entire criminal history, which can include arrest that did not lead to convictions, and so that's important to consider. And it is the requirement of the judge to do that. I think that again, I indicated I would probably have to cut this short, given that most of my presentation was intended to talk about the new law, which has mostly been done. So I know it's short and sweet, but I think Ms. Harper did a great job of giving you what the new law entails, the changes of the new law. To me, the highlights in the changes of the new law are the definition of violent felonies and the increase of, in the addition of some misdemeanors into those, the presumptions that were currently discretionary under a judge's purview are now presumptions that a judge must hold someone without any conditions of pretrial release if that presumption is not met. And then I think another big one that I think is going to have a major impact is the 3 or more convictions of a Class A1 misdemeanor or above, because that's not infrequent in our court system that we see folks come through. Particularly, I do a lot of the domestic violence first appearance. It's not infrequent that we see 2, 3 or more convictions of domestic violence related items, which are Class A1 misdemeanors. And so that's going to have an impact as well. The increased use of secured bonds is going to leave a lot more folks in custody, which is going to put a lot of pressure on Sheriff McFadden and on the county's resources. And I know that this commission and this county is working hard to ensure that we are able to accommodate that. But I'll save any future time for questions at this time, unless you have any now.
We're going to hold off, Judge, and then
Thank you, Commissioner Jarrell.
Come back and everybody will answer.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Thank you. Chairman Jarrell and County Manager Bryant, thank you all for having us. My staff will quickly announce who they are and we'll move right into this.
Myron Presley, Public Information Specialist.
Sarah Mastori, Public Information Manager.
Anthony Dura, Facility Commander.
Tanisha Pakanayava, Mental Health Director.
Major Robert Avey, Arrest Processing.
Andre Nalconian, Business Management for the Sheriff's Office.
Thank you all. We're going to run through it because we said that we are limited. So most of the people who have spoken, and we will also speak, most of these going to be from paper. And what I mean, they're speaking from an aspect of paper and function of the criminal justice system. We're going to be functioning for 24 hours a day. It's not 9 to 5 to us, and it's not paper, and it's not numbers to us. These are going to be people's lives that we are going to be entrusted with even more. The main part is that we're going to be the main corporate of all of this in 307, and of course it was created because of a stabbing on a bus light, on the light rail, and the law. We had no input, no input whenever invited to a meeting to even think about how could this work through our system. So we're just coming on the tail end of it. So the current state of the detention center is those numbers going to change. Each time you see 1560, now it is 1580. We fluctuate every night. between 70, 75 people coming in and 50 going out. And that's the fluctuation of our detention center on an average of every day. We cannot tell Pineview, Matthews, Mint Hill, and anybody else how to not to arrest somebody. So they're going to be in and out of the facility. A lot of times we don't understand when we talk about logistics. Everybody in our detention center can be housed together. It is by classification. And classification sometimes is a very big burden. Also, we're going to talk about the jail capacity. When you heard Mrs. Harper say functional capacity, we are at 85% functional capacity today, but we are 99% operational capacity. So this is why you may see the issue about the word stacker bunks. Stacker bunks is where we have to put people on these bunk beds, and their families will call in and say they are sleeping on the floor, but they're not actually sleeping on the floor. They're actually on what they call a stacker bunk. Okay. So the capacity challenge and the guidelines, we don't have guidelines. We don't have any guidelines on how this is going to work. We can hear what they're going to do outside of the detention center, but what are the guidelines inside the detention center? We were not given any guidelines for inside the detention center. At this time, of course, we have 73 people on what they call stacker bunk. Again, that is people that are sleeping on a cart mattress style bunk. So when people say that they are on the floor, they're not actually on the floor, they're on a bunk. And the reason that they're on the bunk, because of capacity, operational capacity, functional capacity, and also classification. And of course, that is a problem because we're going to hear from a lot of people calling us. Staffing and mental health. We believe that we can handle the mental health part in providing this resources, but do we have enough staffing to provide the resources? We have enough staffing to provide the current resources now, but we know that it is going to increase, and will we have enough staffing to help our men and women who are coming to us broken, confused, and mental health challenges? We have a great mental health staff, and we'll probably talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes. And here we are. And so, believe it or not, we created the first mental health pod in North Carolina with no additional fundings. We just created it. When I came, we had 1 year for men, 1 year for women. And it was very successful in dealing with mental health before it became popular. We would deal with it in 2019. And it really, really worked. And the state of North Carolina then asked us to do a little bit more. I think that a little bit more, and this is the little bit more, the RISE program. The RISE program is restoring individually, safely, and effectively. So in the middle of COVID, the state of North Carolina came to us and said, hey, Sheriff, since you did such a good job, or your staff did such a good job on mental health, can we do an experiment? So the experiment was taking on a 25-bed unit to deal with just the people in Mecklenburg County, only in Mecklenburg County. And we dealt with them so successfully, now we have what they call RISE 5.0. I dubbed the name 5.0. So what the RISE program does now for us in Mecklenburg County is, well, that's one slide, a couple slides missing. So what they did with the Mecklenburg County now, that 36 other sheriff's offices in North Carolina now can bring their persons who are mentally challenged to the Mecklenburg County Detention Center for service of mental health before the law started. So what does that mean? If I was another sheriff and I had all these problems inside my detention center and don't know, and I didn't get any additional funding, I don't have the staff, and I definitely don't have the mental health staff to combat what the state has put on us because of this new law, why don't we just send them to Mecklenburg County? Why? We've already signed a contract with them previously before the new law came, way before the new law came. So we have a contract with 36 other counties, sheriff's offices, who now can send their people to us to restore their capacity so they can go to court in their county. I hope you understand that. So we're serving 36 other counties under the RISE program now. And so when we talk about the other challenges, we're talking about recruiting and retention. You have to understand, we do a great job in recruiting and retention, but the way that most people talk against law enforcement these days, young people do not want to come to law enforcement. And also, you're talking about the largest sheriff's office and the largest police departments in the state operating within Mecklenburg County, myself and CMPD. But we also have to compete with the outer agencies, Union County, Gaston County, and all. And we can't, rule out Huntersville, Matthews, Mint Hill, and all the other 7 that are in Mecklenburg County competing for the same pool of people. But now we are competing against Monroe, because their starting rate is different from ours. And so we're going to also talk about how do we retain these people, but they are going to be pulled away to other counties. The rest processing, which I didn't see a slide for, the rest processing, as they say, it's going to increase. It's going to very much increase each and every day of the demands starting December 1st, but we also have to remind you that we are still fighting a House Bill 318, which is the immigration bill. And so what happens with the immigration bill, after a judicial official, a magistrate, has deemed that a person has fulfilled all of their obligation to be released from the Mecklenburg County Detention Center, House Bill 318 now mandates us to hold them an additional 48 hours. So after a magistrate signs the release, they will be held inside the detention center for an additional 48 hours, and that is going to cause some cumbersome more problems if we're dealing with all these other people that we have to have inside and outside. And when we're talking about IVC orders, we will be responsible for the transportation as it stands now. And additionally, most people do not recognize this, but my deputies take care of people back and forth to the hospital each and every day because of their medical conditions that they have to have treated. So all of that is on top of the law and also the immigration bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. I'm going to ask all the presenters to come back to the podium because we are going to open it up for questions. And as we take questions, if colleagues, if you'll point out whoever you're directing the question to, that would be helpful. Who all has questions? We'll start with Commissioner Dunlap.
Can you come back?
Sure, absolutely. Commissioner Powell, you had some? Did I see your hand?
Eventually.
All right, folks, Vanessa Rufus here in the Live Impact News studio. You can see a little bit of a lull there in this Mecklenburg County meeting discussing the impact of Arena's law on the county in multiple facets, if you will. But we're going to take a quick break. When we start to see any activity on any of these boxes, we will come back and get you an update. We'll see you in just a couple minutes. Welcome back to Live Impact News. Vanessa Rufus here. We've been listening in on a meeting with Mecklenburg County leadership, and we just heard actually from the Mecklenburg County Sheriff, Gary McFadden. All of this centering around the impact of Arena's Law, which was a law passed in North Carolina following the stabbing death of Arena Zarutska on the Blue Line rail. And now we're hearing from a question-answer perspective, folks asking questions and experts, if you will, answering. So let's listen back in, and you'll see our 3-box. We're also watching the Mooresville Christmas Parade, which is officially underway, and keeping an eye on the skies.
First few weeks and see how we do starting Monday, December the 1st. Navigate through it, see where we stand. I'm hoping that our judges and our magistrates are prepared. I feel like we are.
I think if I could, I will go ahead.
Funding, we use the word loosely about resources. Funding and bodies. Personnel, that's what we're going to have, funding and personnel. And that is what, to attempt to achieve success. The clerks and the judges all going to have additional issues, hearings, just the hearings alone of his capacity. Like I said the other day, we have people inside Mecklenburg County Detention Center today has been waiting for 6 years, not because of the system, but because of the entire, not just one system, but the entire system. But when I say that while we have to deal with it, we're dealing with the physical person. And so we're going to need personnel and we're going to need funding, because our people who eat inside do not eat the same thing. And you're talking about funding for additional medical, and we haven't even talked about the mental capacity of functioning to give them the resources that they need, and then transporting them to these additional hearings beyond what we transport now.
And I would just say for criminal justice services, I mean, there will definitely be an increase in need of resources to be able to support this. Internally, as we've been really taking a look and trying to prepare, we do anticipate that, you know, we will need additional resources within the pretrial services unit and potentially within the forensic evaluations unit also, depending on how things, depending on how things kind of fall with the IVC process, you know, next year. I think, you know, it's a bit hard for us to really say right now exactly how much more that we would need, or what, you know, how many more positions or things we may need. Because as I mentioned earlier, right now, as the way things are written, it's very difficult for us to quantify the impact. I will say, you know, as we, and as Judge Wiggins had indicated, the next couple of weeks are going to be, they'll be exciting. But I think by the time we get to the end of February, early March, where we are at that point is probably going to be pretty close to where we're going to be for the long haul. And so I think at that point in time, we'll be able to really provide some more specifics as to what the resource need may be.
Thank you. Commissioner Townsend Ingram.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, everyone, for your presentation. I've got like literally 2 categories of questions that I know cannot be answered here today, and a lot of them have to do with data. So really, one of my first questions is what recourse do we have as policymakers and advocates to fix the glaring loopholes that we see? Because we already know that criminal justice, there are so many injustices that contain racial, ethnic, all of those biases. What recourse do we have now here today to lobby to fix those, or do we have any recourse to fix those problems? That's my first question. I'm not sure who to direct that to. My second question, and please just forgive my ignorance, what is the difference between when CMPD houses and arrests for something versus the sheriff's office? And how do you, I mean, so does CMPD do the arrest, but you do the housing of the detainees, or how does that work?
CMPD does not house anyone.
Okay.
We house everybody for CMPD.
Okay.
Cornelius, Huntersville, Matthews, Pineville, Davison. We house everybody. So we are the only people that does the housing.
Okay, that explains a lot. Okay, and then
the policy issue, if you can find a policy that will help fill vacancies, and you find a policy that produces funding, that is what the sheriff need.
Okay.
Policies don't fill vacancies. Policies don't fill funding.
So that leads me to my next question. If we had numbers about, on average, how much it costs based on like what you were talking about in the categories for feeding an inmate who has medical challenges or mental challenges, what does success mean when you said the RISE program has been successful? What does success mean? How many people have been, the fact that we're talking about success and people being incarcerated is just, the oxymoron is ridiculous. But what does that mean? What does success mean with the RISE program? The
Success
recidivism
means that I have half of the people inside my detention center. If we cannot tell people not to arrest anyone, but the community has to have an input that people don't continuously come to jail to be incarcerated. We haven't looked at how can we decrease that, and that will decrease my workload, that will decrease their workload, and that definitely will increase the courthouse workload. We have to tap into the community. How can we be a better community and provide the services so people will not continuously come to jail to be incarcerated?
We need to know how much that would cost per person, like how many people. We can give you a number later. Yeah, I'm saying I have a list of questions that I'll just have to email or whatever.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Rodriguez-McDowell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for your presentations. I mean, I'm almost speechless about the impacts across the board here. And I know that, you know, we can't function without our clerks. And so I know, like what you were saying. But my question is around, you know, have you guys already figured out mathematically, like, what this is going to look like, because you already know how many folks would, like were you able to measure while this thing was being passed, you know, based on your records, what would your population look like at this point if this law had been in place, you know, for X number of months? I'm just wondering if you have an emergency overflow plan already, like where are the folks going to go? If it's like 20% more people, 50% more people, I just would love to know if you have a quantifying number on, you know, what you expect.
Let's say, and as I mentioned earlier, it's difficult for us to really, you know, again, quantify and put a number on it right now. What I can say is when we have looked at some different data points at different touch points of the system kind of leading up to this, one of the things that we took a look at was, you know, the number of bookings that have occurred into the Mecklenburg County Jail in FY25. That number sits close to about 22,000. So, you know, again, we know that's what we had last year. But when we look at the provisions within this new piece of legislation, we know that, again, with written promise to appear no longer being an option, with, again, there being a new category of violent offenses that will require people to, again, bypass initial appearance and be booked into the jail, when we look at, again, those individuals that have had 3 or more convictions within the 10-year period,
right,
that's a very significant number, and like Judge Wiggins had indicated, we see that a lot, but it's very hard for us to kind of filter that down through the data sets right now. But so, I mean, it will be upwards of 22,000 individuals presented at the Arrest Processing Center, because again, that was what was presented in FY25.
So are you saying it could double the amount of folks?
I think that's
roughly?
well, I don't know if I would go so far to say double, but we're anticipating it could potentially be significant. Because again, you know, this is really limiting judicial discretion.
Right.
And so again, there are going to be requirements that some people will have, there will be no option but to book some individuals into the jail.
Okay.
I think
before I run out of time, can I just add to my question a little bit, because I don't want them to ding me here. My other question was about the suspension of magistrates and how is that going to affect everything. And so we know that at this point, this is an unfunded mandate that's kind of coming in the middle of a year. But is there going to be any funding? Have they said anything about future funding for the next fiscal year or anything? Or is this all completely being put on Mecklenburg County?
My understanding is the legislature doesn't have a budget.
Oh, yeah.
I don't
Minor
have, there's
detail.
been no discussion of any additional funding. If I can quickly address the magistrate issue, my hope, one of our top magistrates is here today, Mr. Basil. My hope is that's not going to be an issue, that all of our magistrates and our judges will follow the written findings requirements, which would eliminate the need for the Chief Justice to remove or start removal proceedings against a magistrate. That's my hope.
So there will not be funding. There will not be, from my understanding, no funding coming. If you go back to the 48-hour hold rule for the House Bill 318 to hold a presumably undocumented immigrant for an additional 48 hours at the cost to the Mecklenburg taxpayers at $398 per hold, that cost is on you now. So we're not looking to get a cost. When you're talking about numbers, when this law was mentioned, only mentioned, our population went up 118. At just the mention of it went up 118, and it was the highest that it has ever been as me being sheriff at 1609. That's 1,609 people being housed inside a detention center. So that's just a mention of it that caused that increase.
Commissioner Meyer. I'm coming around.
Thank you very much. That was my big question, was it being an unfunded mandate. I just really want the public to understand, and I just want this to be honed in on, that we're being forced to do all this without money from the state, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so I'm assuming that in our, as the budget cycle starts, this is going to be something that we're going to be seeing. We're going to be seeing your request rise a little bit, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make.
I want to mind you, of course, today we're discussing this House bill legislation and the fiscal impacts. You're kind of shifting to the fiscal discussion, but be mindful that you're going to have other competing needs as well to support your priorities also. So I just want to manage your expectations and be mindful that as you provide feedback and direction and guidance, that this is just one piece of the larger pie as well. So,
Thank you for that. I 100% agree with that because, I mean, our priorities are going to be cut into because of this. I just really want the public to understand that. Sonia, on slide number 6, it says a judicial official is required to consider defendant's criminal history, not just a record of convictions. So right now, it's just a record of convictions?
So yes, and I can defer to Judge Wiggins with that, but currently, yeah, a judicial official takes in consideration the prior convictions of an individual. This here requires, to take the entire record into consideration, which includes, times that a person may have been arrested, but there was no conviction. So even if an arrest was made and the charge was dismissed, that still has to be reviewed as part of the record. I defer to Judge Wiggins for.
Well, Monday, I handle the domestic violence first appearance and I cover first appearance, good amount of judges that cover first appearance. It is not, there are factors that are considered outside of the convictions. For instance, if there's pending charges, in other words, if someone has been arrested on a charge and they pick up a new charge, that's usually the district attorney, and it'll be on the pretrial report that they have these X number of pending charges. I think most of our judges, including myself, take that into consideration now.
Okay. And what about requiring a defendant's housing situation to be considered? If the person is homeless, I
don't think that, I think that's typically discussed, that particularly now that we have an advocate in the courtroom in the public defender's office, they'll mention that the person is potentially unhoused. How that impacts the decision of each individual judge, I can't answer how they'll handle that in their discretion. I have been always impressed with our public defender.
All right, folks, we are going to take a quick break here on Live Impact News. When we return, we just want to let you know we've got a breaking situation here that we're following. When we return in 2 minutes, we'll have some body camera footage that CMPD just released regarding an interaction from earlier this year with the suspect in that light rail stabbing, DeCarlos Brown. And we're scanning through as we speak some of these videos, and we want to play at least one for you when we come back. And we'll give you some context too about specifically what kind of call for service this was, and how this plays into the suspect's history. So stick with us here on Live Impact. We'll be back in 2. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for sticking with us here on Live Impact News. We got some breaking news we've been following in our newsroom. Just within the last few moments, CMPD has released body camera footage from an interaction between officers and the suspect in the light rail stabbing from earlier this year, DeCarlos Brown. We want to kind of preface this with the fact that this is from an incident prior to that stabbing. So this was actually from January, from earlier this year. And the context here is that we've mentioned before in a reporting on this stabbing, mental health has been coming up a lot in the dialogue as it pertains to DeCarlos Brown, the suspect, and the fact that there is some sort of mental health history. So this is from a call for service, a welfare call. Officers essentially coming into contact with Brown, and you are going to hear an interaction between officers and Brown where he talks about how he thinks somebody has put what he calls a man-made material inside his body to control his every movement. So let's go ahead and listen into one of these clips, and keep in mind our team is sorting through all the clips, so we hope to bring you more in the coming moments.
Put your hands behind your back, sir. You're being arrested for misuse of 911. Got that later. What I used to misuse it for? Because I told you you didn't have a police emergency, and that if you call back over some nonsense, then we would have to arrest you for misuse of 911. Look, you need a flashlight? I got it. 17 with that. You got it? 17 with that. Let's get him over here. You said that's not a cop's job.
Let's search real quick. We'll get in the car.
All thing he can do is hope my body ain't exposed to anything.
I hope it isn't.
You say you hope it is?
I hope it isn't.
Oh.
I don't want anybody to get exposed to anything. Because we're touching it means we're exposed now too, right?
No, it's a man-made material.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It
Doesn't matter if it's man-made or natural.
No,
If
it's
it's
just, it's just your name. That's all. It's just your name. And I put it on there that Sergeant Hawkins said that's not a police job.
Correct. You can put on that.
Okay. Make copies of it. You gonna press charges on me and get it to CMPD downtown.
Am I gonna press charges?
You got anything that's gonna stick or poke me in your pocket? But once you find out that this shit real, your job gone.
Okay.
How many times did I tell y'all to stop locking me up?
How many times did
Sir,
you tell me to stop locking you up?
Your man told you.
Sir,
what was the conversation about?
I told you we didn't want to do this, bro.
Yeah, that was the conversation.
I gotta fix my emergency. How do I go about fixing it? And it's not a cop job.
Yeah, I think you
So
need
whose
to fix
job
it at
is it?
Billingsley.
Medical.
I think you need to fix it at Billingsley is what I think.
How is it they don't got it? You think? Your job gone. Yeah. Your job is gone.
Oh,
hey,
man,
wait till you
I love this job too, man.
Yeah, wait till you see the police reports that I try to yeah. But y'all said I need the evidence first. It's over.
Yeah.
Your man just lost his job. Hey, he wish he would have been out here earlier, right? And I said, I gotta go to jail. You know why? You know why? Because they won't investigate what my body got exposed to because that's not a cop's job. Damn, your job gone.
Dang, homie. How am I gonna pay? How am I gonna feed my kids now?
I don't know, security job, I mean.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
But work for them now.
Work
They
for the
put it like
hospital?
that. No, I'm talking about the one that's searching me. Work for them now.
I might do that. I might put in my application for CMPD after I get fired.
I doubt they'll hire you.
I doubt it too, man. But I'll
I'm
try.
a felon, they'll hire me first, because that's not no police job in a trafficking situation. After I explain to you to please read the paper in my emergency, oh, it just looks even better. You just said misuse of 911.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the only thing you can do is hope that my body ain't exposed to something, or hope that this situation doesn't happen again. Or keep happening again.
I'm hoping it doesn't.
Yeah, this the third time.
Third time you've been locked up for this?
Yeah, because
you
y'all
think you would learn, right?
It's the same emergency though. Step in, Bolton.
There's a dime you dropped on the floor.
Is it still down there?
Yeah.
You already know that. But you act like you're sitting on the couch.
He might need that 10 cents.
Is that just your 10 cents?
Or 2 cents? 2 cents, yeah. There's his phone. Fantastic. Problem solved. Make sure he doesn't hang himself back there, please.
All right, so once again, this is brand new body camera footage that CMPD just released within the last several minutes, showing an interaction they say happened between CMPD officers and the suspect in the light rail stabbing case from August, DeCarlos Brown. Now, we'll remind you once again, the video itself is from January, and this was a different situation. So this is not related to the light rail stabbing. This is related to a welfare call for service, which CMPD says DeCarlos Brown had actually placed multiple numbers of these types of calls in months leading up to this last interaction where you see him being placed in handcuffs and put under arrest for misuse of 911. Now, what CMPD says in the release that it shared alongside many of these clips, which keep in mind, we mentioned our team is currently scrubbing through all the clips to see which ones we can share, which ones are not. If there are any disturbing sort of elements or strong language, we'll try to make sure that we bleep any sort of words that might be sensitive. We've not found anything of that nature, we'll say, quite yet, but we are still in the process of looking through these things. We're going to have more of that here in just a little bit, and also more coverage at 4. But we just want to say that officers report that Brown had called them multiple times, called 911 multiple times, complaining of a man-made material he says was placed inside his body and that was controlling his every movement. In fact, CMBD saying that there were 3 previous calls placed in 2004, and they had sent their crisis response team along with officers, tried to offer him help. He kept declining, which led up to this point where he made yet another welfare call, and you saw him being put under arrest. So we've got another clip queued up here for you. This one appears to be the one from inside the police cruiser. So you just saw the video where he was being led to the vehicle in handcuffs. This one is from inside that police cruiser. Take a look.
Why y'all locking me up though?
The reason that we locked you up is because officers were already with you, speaking with you.
About what?
About your situation, and when we told you that as a police department there was not much that we could investigate, you called asking for other officers. It's like the misuse of 911. Okay?
Because I didn't have an emergency?
No, it's not that you didn't have an emergency, it's the fact that you were calling 911 to speak with officers when you were already speaking with officers.
He stated that.
Yeah, you'll be able to, when we go to court for this, you'll be able to speak to a judge.
I was unable to talk to him another time.
Yeah, because you ain't had court. So the magistrate is not the judge. You gotta wait till you go to court to speak with a judge. All right.
Can you add me to 2261 Peach Traffic Stop? Stop.
They say the name of the chair called
2249, 2239. Thank you. This is attempt to locate 11-808 Pleasant Wyatt Place. So try to make contact with an Ian Janey, registered owner of a 2011 Kia Forte that's been left abandoned on Blair Road and then Hill. Contact is made. Please advise them that the vehicle will be towed tomorrow if it's not removed. $2011.39, 2013.61. 1361. 1361, 10-4. have you that AV. That works.
That's what it gets pretty bad. Too bad.
All right, folks. So once again, this is just a little snippet of several minutes of body camera footage CMPD just released within the last, I'd say, 30 minutes or so, related to a welfare call they say happened in January of this year with the suspect in the deadly light rail stabbing from August. So once again, this is a different call than that stabbing, but it's with the same suspect. And we talked about this before, how our team is combing through all of the minutes of this interaction between officers and DeCarlos Brown. It was a 28-minute interaction, and we're actually getting different angles of, for example, there were multiple officers, so different body camera footage angles. And we are going to kind of go through more videos, see what else we can share with you. Time for a quick break, so just stay with us here. In 2 minutes, we'll be back with yet another clip, a different angle, and just a reminder of some of the context, too, of what we're knowing about the background in this case as we watch these videos. Folks, we're following some breaking developments here in the Live Impact News studio. You're watching some of the police body camera footage that CMPD has just released to us within the last several minutes or so, showing an encounter with the light rail stabbing suspect, Carlos Brown, from earlier this year. So this is a separate call, and this was a welfare call that he had made regarding what he called man-made material he believed had been placed inside his body and says was being used to control his movements. Now, we've shown kind of like the larger context of this in how it plays into the mental health discussions we've been seeing regarding that light rail stabbing, in that police have said that DeCarlos Brown had multiple incidents of a mental health nature. And so they say that there are actually 3 mental health calls, so welfare calls, that he had made in the year prior, so this was 2024, leading up to this instance where they had tried to get him help, they say. They tried to offer him services and he had declined. And inevitably, as we see, he gets arrested on this final call for help here and essentially is charged with misuse of 911. So let's listen in right now to this clip. You're going to hear even more interaction. This is a brand new angle and in fact, kind of some brand new visuals and sound of the interaction between DeCarlos Brown and the officers.
Further assistance.
So, I think I spoke with you before about this. You think you got somebody inside controlling you, right? Like you think you got somebody gave you some man-made material and it's controlling what you do, make you eat, cough, you know.
Everything.
Yeah. So like I explained to you before, like, there's not really much, this is not really like a criminal thing, right? Okay, so like,
yeah, criminal. I'm pretty sure. How's not?
How's it not criminal? Because what you're saying is
somebody did something to my body. That's criminal.
So, but we don't know. We don't have anybody that's making you chew, cough, eat. What about that makes that stuff criminal, right? Like,
if I didn't authorize them to use the material, then that's a criminal fact. That's like I can do that to you. You don't find that that's criminal.
But do you know what the material is?
That's what I need. I can't keep going in there. And this time I woke up on the ground. So, I mean, you can get that to your sergeant, ask him what to do from there.
Yeah, now I'll let you hold on to that, bro.
I mean, it's officers' names from Central Division in there too.
Yeah. And what did the officers from Central tell you?
Y'all are in here. If you would have read it.
Oh, I was reading it because I know you had explained it to me before.
Once you tell me whatever to do next in this situation, in this emergency, I was gonna put your name and tell you and let CMCPD read what every officer keep doing.
Okay.
All right. So how can you further assist me?
In terms of assisting you, we're not doctors. We're police officers. We can't.
Okay, but it's not their job to investigate something that the police.
And who would have done that to you besides a doctor or anybody that can do some type of sort of thing like that?
I just came home from jail and that happened.
Well, I mean, you would have to take that up with the sheriff department over there because you came from their side of town.
If it happened when it was, while you were in custody.
No, I came home from jail, didn't it happen?
What?
Hey, y'all doing the same thing y'all did last time. Go ahead and I'm getting locked up this time because I woke up on the ground trying to go through the medic route and I was going to make copies and then just give it to every CMPD downtown.
I got you, man. But like, there's, I've
call Sarge again. They tell him that he back out here. This time he done went through the whole medical route. You about to tell him to do it again, and now he writing 9 names down. Yeah, you might want to call Sarge. You just the same guy. But now he writing our names down, telling the CMPD officers that we refuse to investigate what the fuck this motherfucker talking about.
Okay.
You refuse to read the shit.
Man, because I've spoken with you before.
Alright, so you already know to call Sarge.
We're not calling Sarge out here for that.
Well, lock him up then.
All right. You want me to call my sergeant? All right. I can do that for you. I'll call my sergeant.
on here, and I'm not about to lock his ass up, because it look like when they do investigate the shit, I'm gonna get my ass locked up. That's what it looked like.
But what you're explaining, right? You're saying something's inside.
It's a true story.
I'm not
gonna waste your time.
I'm not saying
I'm walking on the ground.
Listen, man. I'm not saying that it's not a true story, right? But if it is something within inside your body, when we take people to jail and they got something inside of their body that is like a physical thing, we have to call medics to come and remove it. We don't deal with anything that's inside of the body, okay? We don't do that. That's not our job. That is a job.
I tried to make a police report 1 million times. Y'all said y'all need the evidence first.
Yeah, because until that is a thing, how do we know what crime is committed?
That's what I mean. It's not. It has nothing to do with you. I have to talk to Sarge.
He's coming.
I apologize.
No, you good, bro. You good. Listen, I'm just, and I know you're frustrated. I get it, because it's like
ain't no way you about to put some handcuffs on me if Sarge telling me to lock him up, and then you like, God damn, my name gonna be on the paper because your ass refused to investigate what the motherfucker is talking about. You feel what I'm saying?
I get it. But like I said, man, we don't want to do that. Okay? We don't want to do that. That's not the route we want to go. All right?
Y'all made over 7 police reports, y'all.